All right, guys, we are here for Nvidia earnings day. Guys, Nvidia earnings day today. One of the biggest days of the market this month in November. Nvidia earnings. The big boy earnings report releases soon. Quarter 3 earnings for Nvidia. All right, so expectations are for what are these earnings expectations for? Again, it should have redirected you, right? Let me know if it did. It should have redirected you. If it didn't, let me know. It should have. Did it redirect? It should have. Got to make sure it did. Let me check the. Okay, yeah, it redirected. Okay, cool. Y'all are here. What's up, team? Redirected work. Expectations for Nvidia earnings today are for 318 EPS, 318 profit per share. On revenue of 16.12 billion. All right, so we're going to put this up, and then we are going to pivot to this here, scrolling in the background. Exit out of this for the FOMC minutes report. Whoa, what happened to our... Man, we got too many monitors here, team. Too many monitors. There we go. All right, let's add this here so we don't get mixed up. Yeah, Nvidia is still under slight dip under 400. Slight dip. You are a technological genius. Listen, tell me it. I'm okay with saying it. You know, I'll allow it. You know, keep saying it, man. Just boost my ego. Let my head get really big, bro. That's all I need. Top 3 most humble guys ever right here. Nvidia's fallen a bit. Yeah, I mean, under 500. Nvidia's had a crazy run. If you look at, you really don't see the run until you look at like a 20-day chart. That's a big run. On this right side here, Nvidia has gone from basically $400 all the way back up to $500, which again, if you're not good at math, that's a 25% increase from 4 to 500 in less than 20 days. It had lows of 392s back on the at the very start of November. Lows of 392s. We're 21 days into November, and it is at basically $500. A big 25% plus increase in that period of time. Now, it had dipped down. It had previously already been up there. If we look at a daily chart, you know, it already had hit 500. You know, remember, lifetime high is exactly 520. So, you know, it's basically rebounding that 25% after dipping previously, but still pretty big move for Nvidia. Nvidia has been the stock of the year that's dragged the market up. And yeah, let me know if you guys think it'll continue. If they beat projections, will the NQ print green? Possibly. We'll see. When are the earnings getting released? We'll put a timer up here, you know, for your viewing pleasure. We'll put a timer up. All right, we got an hour and 3.5 minutes. There you go. Almost up to 500 right now. All love, bro. Thanks, man. And then tomorrow we got some other stuff too. So like, and I'm gonna enjoy my day off on Thursday. You know, I really am. I skipped jiu-jitsu today just for you degenerates at home. And again, I'm really going to enjoy my day off on Thursday. Oh man, today we had Canadian CPI drop this morning. I didn't even remember. Well, 4.2% is what it showed up as. 4.2%. Year over year CPI came in at 3.1. So Canadian CPI actually came down a little bit versus expectations and the previous reading. So again, core CPI went up though. So again, core CPI excludes food and energy. On the month, it went up from minus 0.1% last time to positive 0.3%. Common CPI, not sure what the difference is there, but 4.4% is what they showed last time. 4.2% is what they showed this time. Nvidia back over 500. You can see the SPY up here up to 453s. Core CPI year over year did go down though. Base CPI year over year went down from 3.8 to 3.1%. In Canada, also CPI month to month went up slightly. We also had existing home sales that came in lighter than expected. Tomorrow, we've got MBA mortgage rates, 30-year mortgage rates coming out. Last time it was 7.6%. We also have durable goods and jobless claims numbers dropping at 8:30 tomorrow. Remember, the market is closed Thursday, so jobless claims are not going to release then. They're going to release tomorrow instead. And again, we'll be streaming that live. Then we also have Michigan inflation expectations as well. Not really any other big earnings, I don't think, that are getting released tomorrow. We got John Deere, GDS, and then in the afternoon we got like X Financial and Lexan FinTech. What a name. But yeah, nothing really major here in earnings. You're putting the market in an armbar instead. Here's a question though, like, and maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so I went to my Saturday class, and like I usually go to the morning class, right? So like there's a bunch of people that don't really know me, and these classes are so busy. Like the floor is so busy that like you can't stand up. You can't start your roll standing up. You got to basically start it on your butt sitting down. And so, I rolled with another white belt, guillotined him, made him tap, and then basically kind of, we kind of just flow rolled after that because I didn't want to go too heavy on this kid. The next guy was like this big bear of a jiu-jitsu guy, and he was a blue belt as well. So he was like a higher rank than me, and this dude's much bigger than me, right? And he smother taps me in like 45 seconds. Like I couldn't breathe. Dude got on top of me. I couldn't breathe. I tapped. And so the next time I rolled with him, in my mind, I'm like, hey, I can't let this dude get on top. Like I'm done for. I'm going to tap again if he gets on top. I can't let him get on top. And so I used my speed and I kind of got around him and got inside control. And then he was leaving his arm out like this, like kind of going like this. And so for me, I'm like, all right, bro, like I've been arm barring people. So I'm just like, all right. And I grabbed his arm and I got him in an arm bar. But I don't know if I'm like cranking on it too much or what. This is not the first time I've seen that somebody do this with me. Afterwards, they're like, my arm. And I felt bad, and then the next time, like a black belt's like, hey, I want to roll with you. And then the black belt like destroys me and like makes me tap like 5 times in 6 minutes. And so again, is it like bad for me to armbar people? If you don't tug on the armbar tight, they're going to stack you and they're going to get out, and then you're going to be on bottom in a not as in a bad position. And so you kind of got to pull on the arm when it's there. I don't know if I should just, if it was a brand new white belt, it would have been different, but this guy's the blue belt. He's a higher rank than me. So I don't know. I just worry that I don't want everybody at the gym to hate me thinking I'm cranking on arm bars too much, when really it's like I'm not. He's just a higher belt than me. They don't know a famous person, bro. I'm not telling any of them about anything about this, man. I would just rather not have to deal with that. I don't go around telling people. I don't like, I've had people that recognize me before, but like I'm not famous. You guys know that. I have had people recognize me, but it's not something that I like going around telling people. Usually if you tell somebody you're on YouTube, they immediately think you're like some bootleg version of Logan Paul. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to start asking for free food for shout outs on social media or something. And so I'd rather just not say anything and just, I tell them I deal with like software is what I usually tell them. That's a conundrum. I know, man. Like, I don't want to hurt people, and I don't know if it's like bad, to crank on the arm that much, because like an arm bar is something where if the person escapes, you're in a much worse spot. Like if the person gets their arm out, you're basically on the bottom in like a really bad spot. And so I feel like you got to kind of crank on it a little bit to get the tap, because if not, they're just going to stack you and you're going to be on the bottom in a really bad spot. Yeah, definitely most humble ever for sure in the world. How's your P&L today? Oh, it's pretty good. Again, look at the SPY rip. SPY up to 453, still in that range, but SPY's moving. Like an arm bar is the only one I really feel bad about. Like I don't feel bad guillotining people because nobody is ever like grabbing their neck like after I guillotine them. It's just kind of a blood choke, so they tap so they don't go to sleep, and then you just kind of reset. But the arm bar is the one where after you do it, the person's always like, "Oh, ouch, my arm," And I get it too. I've done that too, but like that or like an ankle lock usually sucks. Nvidia EPS is 336. What's the Nvidia PE ratio? People were talking about AMD having a PE ratio of 1,000. I don't think that's the case. Like, let me look at Nvidia. Let me look up their PE ratio. Again, I know it is probably kind of high, but if they're earning money, let's calculate the PE ratio real quick. Again, they're saying the AMD PE ratio is 1,000. When I calculated, it was like 47 or something. Yeah, this was the AMD PE that I got, was 46 point. No, I'm just going to 47 is what I got. For Nvidia here, let's take a look. Again, PE ratio is the price of the stock divided by the yearly EPS. So in that regard, it would be... And I think there's two ways to calculate it. I think one of them is adding all 4 quarters up and then dividing it by 4 to get the average EPS, average quarterly EPS. In that case, it might be different. We'll get both of them and see which one's the closest. PE ratio according to Benzinga for Nvidia is 122. So let's add this up. All right, so last one was 270. Last one was 109 prior to that. Next one was 88 cents. Next one was 58 cents. All right, so we got 525. What I would assume is the yearly PE ratio or the yearly EPS. I'm going to write this down so we can cover both of them. So 525 divided by Nvidia's price of 500. Oh, wait. Gives Nvidia a PE ratio of about 95. So again, it's lower than what I'm showing for 120, but it's in the same ballpark. I mean, they're both very conventionally high. Now we could try doing it the other way, I guess. But in that regard, it's going to have a much worse PE ratio for sure. So 525 divided by 4 to get the average equals 131. And then 500 divided by 131. Or no. Would make it a 400 PE ratio, which can't be right. I mean, that's not the PE ratio I always go for either. So again, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm going to go with the 95, 96 one. And if we look at like Nvidia's revenue graph here, Nvidia, what's making them optimistic is if we look at macro trends, which is a site that I've been using to analyze earnings a lot recently. I mean, again, people can say whatever they want. They could say Nvidia is overpriced and all this stuff. But when you look at the huge increase from AI in their revenue, like look at the last quarter. The last quarter came in really hot for Nvidia earnings at 13.5 billion in revenue. 13.5 billion, again, very like almost double the previous largest earnings, which was 8.28. So again, massive increase in revenue from AI, massive increase in revenue. The trailing 12 month is 3268. Again, we can look at the same thing for EPS, in which the EPS, again, to put it into perspective, revenue is kind of like the ceiling that you have in terms of earnings. EPS is the margins, like it's the profitability of it, and their profitability has skyrocketed since AI as well. I mean, look at this huge candle here, and then look at this trailing 12-month EPS candle. Hey, how you doing? Oh, you made some gumbo? Okay, you can come on stream, I guess. Are you in? You're probably all right. I mean, it's up to you. All right. Sorry. Definitely top 3 dads. Yeah, I'm talking to my wife, not my kids, but definitely top 3 husbands ever for sure. I need confirmation on bias on BKNG right here. Bro, what is BKNG booking? All right, so obviously BKNG, you want some confirmation bias. I'll give it to you, sir. BKNG right here, guys. One of the best stocks ever at $3,147 a share. Honestly, really good long-term trend. Honestly, I'm kind of for it. Great long-term trend. Yeah, the float's got to be tiny here. What's the float of BKNG? What's the float? How many shares are out there for this thing? It's got to be small. Okay, 34 million. Yeah, it's a tiny float stock. I mean, anytime you see a stock that's in the thousands, unless it's like Berkshire Hathaway or something crazy big, usually like Chipotle is a good example of this. Usually the float's small because, Chipotle is not worth more than Apple is at, $190. It's just got less shares out there in the float, right? So Apple has billions of shares versus, bookings. But again, still, regardless, I like the chart. Chart looks good. So I hope you make money on it, bro. Nvidia EPS is 336. For which quarter? The expectation for this quarter? Did I get it wrong? Oh yeah, you're right. I put 218. My bad. You're right. Thank you, sir. I got again. It varies, but you're right. I had it at 218. It's actually 318. So sorry. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. Top 3 confirmation bias givers in the world. Again, Nvidia basically straddling $500. It's been at 500 for hours now. Big psychological level. I think that's the level you want to watch. What are your overall thoughts direction-wise on Nvidia? I think Nvidia is a very strong stock, obviously, and I think with the come up of AI, there's definitely an argument for future strength and growth for it. But it's already up a ton over the last year. It's been one of the best performing stocks and securities or assets in general. So, yeah, it's already up a lot. So there might be an argument for some potential extension on the upside. It just depends on what earnings end up showing up for this. So we'll see. All right, guys. Still got 45 minutes here. Again, look at Nvidia bouncing right at that $500 level. Just a big psychological level. Right now, again, I think ahead of these big reports, market can be kind of flat and sideways. So not if you are the turkey. Yeah, I mean, usually we eat what's called a turducken. We haven't had one this year, though. I'm personally a big fan of just turkey and gravy myself. Like, I'm more of like a purist in terms of turkey. Like, I just want turkey and gravy. I don't really want any duck in my turkey. I'd rather just straight up turkey and gravy, you know. But again, that's just my own preference. Earnings on TradingView was 336. Well, yeah, I mean, the expected number varies depending on the analyst you look at. It's not like it's one set universal number that everybody has. Usually it depends on which analyst you're looking at that's giving out the expectations. It's not always the same. Yeah, and I mean, typically the people who are like, "Oh, it's this number instead," usually have the least amount of experience because they don't understand that there's a bunch of different numbers by a bunch of different analysts. So, all good, guys. But yeah, number varies. Depends on which analyst you look at. Depends on which site, which analyst you look at. Um, sure. Yeah, I think yeah. Thank you. My wife made some gumbo. Got to put that boiled egg in there, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I hope Nvidia goes up. I hope the market moves up in general, but you never know. My equities portfolio is pretty flat. We're green on futures today, like we said, but equities are a little flat now. Nvidia is still sitting right at 500. Again, let me know what your expected EPS is for Nvidia today. What number does EPS come in at today, guys? Let me know. What do you guys think? I got Poots. Yeah, I mean, there was one day where I was going around. There's one day where I was going around calling strangle options a straggle, like Straggle Rock. I know it's Fraggle Rock. I'm just joking, but yeah, nobody corrected me. I'm still kind of mad at everybody for not correcting me. All right, so we are locking in some profit again. You know, we got one more trade here. We are trading the regular E-mini. I'm sorry. We're trading the regular NASDAQ 100. We're up about 65 on the rest. I could add a little bit more to this. We've already taken some profit. Again, you can kind of see my profit graph here. We're up about 1,100. After this, it'll be over 1,100. So might add a little bit to this here. Oh, thank you, babe. Looks good. Thank you. Is it seafood gumbo or chicken gumbo? Seafood. Okay. Thank you. All right, so now we're pulling back a little bit. There we go, 90. There's one contract at the NASDAQ, so it can move a lot. We're also seeing Nvidia pop a little bit, so. I'm going to cut this and just take my little gain there and see now we're up, 135. 1135. So we're just going to take that for now because I want to try this gumbo. 3.8. I'm expecting 3.4. Nvidia is moving up. It's at 500.4s. You want to see what Louisiana gumbo looks like? You know, that's a boiled egg in there is what you guys see. So, my advertising businesses. But yeah, it's pretty good. All right. Whew. I'm a spice wimp, so I can't really handle spices, but I still like spices. Look at Nvidia pop up though. Nvidia up to almost 501s. Nvidia 540 calls. Let's go. Hey, good luck. It's a little hot right now, but all right, guys. Again, Nvidia popped up. Didn't really drag the Nasdaq up that much with us, so we still got time. What do you think would hit harder? Missed expectations or bad guidance? Bad guidance. Again, one thing you'll notice is that if a company does well in EPS and guidance, or it does EPS and revenue well in metrics, even if they do both of those well, if guidance is bad or if guidance is lowered specifically, that's usually a pretty bad sign that will make the stock drop, regardless of what EPS and revenue is. Revenue is typically more important than EPS is. So revenue is generally more important in terms of metrics. So like if EPS comes in good, but revenue comes in bad, it still could drop, but it varies. But yeah, guidance is going to be more important, I would say. But again, it varies. I can't say for sure. Nobody can. Well, yeah, I mean, I day trade though. So, I mean, of course, I'm going to call that move a pop up. Should be understandable. All right, so NASDAQ moving up. The big level on the NASDAQ, in my opinion, is this 16,000 whole dollar level. Right around here. Fix that. Right around there. That 16,000 level is kind of like a magnet, I would say. It could also be a hard resistance level as well. So I would watch that. You can kind of see there's some similarities here between NVIDIA and the SPY. Like here's the SPY, here's NVIDIA. You'll notice they look very, very similar. Again, the reason they look similar is because NVIDIA is such a heavily weighted stock that can influence markets that, a lot of the markets watching NVIDIA and using that, number one, it's a heavy weighted stock. Number two, they're using Nvidia as kind of a guide in terms of tech sentiment. So like Nvidia moves tech and then tech moves the market. They beat on the last 11 earnings reports going back 3 years. Yeah. And they've done really well as well over that period of time. Like if we look at Nvidia over a weekly chart, it's a pretty good long-term chart on the right, you know? So, I mean, they've done pretty well. Bit meme stocky for sure. I mean, yeah, again, Nvidia has a huge following. It's put in crazy runs. It's been heavily shorted, i.e. Tesla a few years ago. But again, sometimes these type of stocks can prove the haters wrong. And I think Tesla is an example of that. Tesla was one of the most heavily shorted stocks in the market. And again, it's had crazy big gains, although not as high as it was back in 2022, but still held most of the gains it's made. Yeah, great company. We'll see if it holds. You know, I think there's vulnerabilities in it as well, but I think it's a strong enough company right now. And I think if AI is as big as a lot of people say it is, then that could justify the big upward moves. All right, sorry guys. Wife made some gumbo, so I'm eating it. But yeah, Nvidia testing lifetime highs today. The lifetime highs are not 506; they're actually 520, which they hit a couple months ago. So again, the real question is, if we do push up, will we break lifetime highs? Thank you. Everyone's waiting for Nvidia. Yeah, I think the market's going to be sideways leading up to it. I think Nvidia is such an influential stock right now that the market's going to be waiting for this. We got a couple minutes before the close. We still got 30 minutes. So, I mean, we're just going to sit around, wait for this. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Do you think that market open tomorrow, Nvidia will be at all-time high past that 520 range? I think it's possible. Again, earnings. Listen, nobody knows what's going to happen on this earnings report. Nobody knows. No matter how many people that you see talking on social media that are putting out these big, bold, grand predictions, half of them are probably saying the market's going to crash and we're going to have some parabolic downfall to the market in which, you know, bears are going to celebrate and you know, traders are going to cheer. Other half is saying that Nvidia is going to skyrocket up and moon up to $700. I think both of them are wrong. I think there's possibility that either of those two things could happen. I just really don't know. And what happens is you got a lot of people that put out these big, bold predictions, and then when they're wrong, they just kind of move on and talk about something else and never really acknowledge that they were wildly wrong about a prediction. And so I'm very cautious. I don't like definitive statements here. I would rather tell people I have no idea what's going to happen and cover the market action when it actually does happen, instead of trying to make some big crazy prediction just to get clicks and to get views and, be wildly wrong. Yeah. I mean, again, I talk about this a lot because it's so common here, where you get these people that just predict a crash every day. Michael Burry's predicted 30 crashes basically. And you get people that just predict it every day. The problem with predicting a crash, I've said it before, is we already had a little mild crash in 2020. So like if you look at the SPY, again, we talked about this earlier this morning, but we've already had a little mini crash. The market's already started to pull back. The market already had a pretty big, 20-30% drop back in early 2022. And so the market already had a little mini crash back then. Very rarely is the market gonna have this big dump and then rebound and then have another big dump. That's very rare. I mean, it happens. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I really don't know. But I don't think betting all your money on something like that is the right move. I think it's better to just react and buy up stuff. If we do crash, just wait for the crash to happen and buy up stuff at cheap prices. I made a bunch of money in 2020 on this dip, buying up stuff like United Airlines, MGM. I bought up those at the bottoms, basically. And a lot of people were doubting those picks because they were still saying the market was going to crash. And so maybe we do crash. I've talked about this stat before. We've only had 3 times in history in which we've had more than one red year in a row. But if you listen to retail traders, a lot of them are just telling people that the market is in some never-ending bear market. The crash is always around the corner. It's imminent. And they're almost always wrong. I see them here in chat a lot of the time. They make these big, crazy predictions, and they just kind of switch usernames. And they're kind of regurgitating the same thing that the previous guy said, but they're just acting like they're a new person. And in the end, what you notice is that retail traders over-predict crashes. Crashes are just not that common. Like, they might happen once every decade or so, but it's not something that happens every year or two. But the Big Short movie and Michael Burry and bear traders with confirmation bias over predict crashes. And maybe we do crash again. I think the rate hikes that we've done over the last year and a half are going to start to affect banks sometime soon. And it's possible that we start to see some rough markets next year. That's very possible. Will we crash? I don't know. I don't think we're going to necessarily crash from this, but maybe we do. Again, anything can happen. I think the FOMC minutes report was pretty mild in terms of the reaction, and maybe the whole market's waiting for Nvidia. And again, if Nvidia comes out really bad numbers today, comes out with really bad numbers, we could see some big bearish action today, but whether we do or not is unknown. Oh, I know about Kramer. Tesla's still moving up today, huh? Let me see. Tesla on the left. We're at 241. Tesla's had a really good day when most of the market has been slightly red. Yeah, I mean, we could have big moves today. Nvidia is such a wildly influential stock right now that if we're gauging what could cause big moves, this event that happens in like 30 minutes could do it. This event could happen, as well as like the earnings call. If they report something crazy, that could also do it as well. But we'll see. Short interest of the float is only 1.1% for Nvidia, so the short float's not super high either. I think a lot of people are shorting it through like options and stuff, but we'll see. shame. Some of the bears mean well, but they usually can't tell the difference between data or market manipulation and stock price action. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the bears, I'm not going to say they're gullible, because I think crashes do happen. And I think crashes are very possible, and they're certainly seasonal, I guess is the easiest way to put it. Not like conventional seasons, but like every specific amount of time you get a crash. But I think the problem is that you have to understand that there's also like propaganda that comes out on the other side of that, pushing for crashes, right? Again, a year ago, the SPY was at like 380s, and there was a lot of crash propaganda, I would say, coming out telling everybody the market was about to crash. You should sell now, the market's going to crash, right? And then the market ends up ripping up like 20% since then, more than that maybe in some areas. And who do you think made money on that? The banks did, probably the same ones putting out that type of stuff. Who do you think missed out on these big bullish moves? Retail traders did, because they thought the market was about to crash. And so generally, if you got a lot of people predicting a crash, it's pretty likely that we're not going to crash, and then vice versa. Nobody really knows when we do, except for maybe a few select people. But I think a lot of it, I've said it again, is confirmation bias. I think if you dislike like the current political side that's in power, you might want the market to crash to prove them wrong, and I think that makes people over bet and over predict crashes in that regard, as a way to kind of like, and I think it happens on both sides. I'm not picking sides here. I think it happens on both sides. But I think crashes are rare. Again, we've only had 3 events in the history of the market in which we've had more than one losing year in a row. 3 in over a decade, or around a decade. So, I mean, it's not a very common thing, having multiple bear markets. And we already had a bearish year. This is something I was saying at the time. Like, the market's not going to keep going down forever. You can kind of see we had this bearish year, which means we've only had 3 instances of this in history in which the market kept going down like 1 year and then kept going down in 2023. It's just not that common, as much as people want to bet on it. Yeah, highs and lows. Yeah, I'm not mad at the people who predict on crashes. I'm okay with whatever you predict, as long as if you're wrong, you don't get mad at me for it. Like, you get a lot of people that predict different things and call out bottoms and do like all these different things, and then when they're wrong, it's like, if I even mention it, they get mad. And so as long as you can stand by it and kind of make fun of yourself a little bit and laugh about it, like Ramsey predicted some big crash. I don't know where he's at, but afterwards he kind of made fun of himself. And so I can respect that more than anything. Again, I called GameStop short at $4 in 2021 prior to the crazy squeeze. I thought Tesla was sketchy at $100 prior to the latest run up. And so we're all wrong sometimes. I definitely am. To be mad at top 3, hey, maybe we do have a hard landing. Hard landing meaning we hit a recession. We raise rates, thus in order to combat inflation, have to go into a recession period. Maybe. Again, I think the Fed most likely is predicting a soft landing at this point. They say a soft landing is more probable, but again, we very much could hit a hard landing. We could go into a recession, meaning 2 consecutive losing GDP quarters. I get it's possible. I'm not saying it's not. Different thing. I'm not talking about recessions or anything, even depressions. Those are all possible. What I'm saying is market crashes, meaning like very quick 30% drops in a couple days. And again, those are very rare, as well as like long-term bear markets are also very rare. So My wife brought me that gumbo. I don't have a microwave. This is a heater back here, bro. Look, there's a heater right here. It's cold over here. My wife is the person here that freezes out my house. But it's a heater, bro. Again, don't get mad at the messenger. Maybe I'm wrong, but if you're upset at what I'm saying, you might be emotional about your own predictions. I'll say that. It's NQZ3 right now is the symbol. All right, so again, SPY still churning up a little bit. We can look at the SPY, and this is the big report going live in about, the market closes in about 22 minutes. The market is very flat. Here's the S&P right here, very choppy ahead of this report. Nvidia is even slowing down a little bit with it as well. I'm also looking at so are you saying we're in a stagflation market now? I don't think unemployment's been low though. Or I don't think unemployment's been high though. You know what I mean? You guys think Amazon will drop the most since? I'm not sure. Jeff's no longer the CEO of the company. So, I mean, it makes sense for him to, you know, lock in his shares after a certain point. All right, so we're still over the volume weighted average price. Well, it's high inflation and high unemployment, which we don't really have high employment right now. Inflation's also slowing for sure. Gotten a lot better. They think it's going to hit 3%. I mean, it's not the 2% target. Again, I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm saying is that a lot of people make a lot of big, bold predictions. Usually they're wrong. And so I think I'm very much against definitive statements. Usually the people who put out the most definitive predictions are the most wrong and the less likely to admit they were wrong as well, right? I think there's a lot of egos that float around in the market. I'm not saying we're in anything. What I'm saying is that nobody knows what's going to happen, and making some big prediction, as long as you're okay with admitting you might be wrong, is fine. Yeah, a lot of people think Burry lost big on that big short bet, but again, there's no real right way to know where he answered. I know the market has pushed up a lot relative to where he got in, but Apple's still pretty flat today. A lot of stuff's waiting. Like Nvidia is going to have such a big influence on tech that the whole market is mostly sideways waiting for this to report. We also have some other earnings today. Specifically, we've got Autodesk, HP, Nordstrom, Urban Outfitters, Jack in the Box, Agora, Guess. Man, it's been a while since I had Jack in the Box. Those tacos, they're so bad for you, but they're so good. You know, if they're wrong, I don't want to be right. It's been a while since I had them. 50 cents, you know, as a teenager, I used to love those things. I trade crypto sometimes. Yeah, I mean, he closed it, but a lot of people are saying he closed it at a big loss. But who knows where his actual entry and exits were? Nobody knows. With money on the line, emotions run high. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, news said Burry closed it for more than 40%. I'm pretty sure they were speculating though, but I'm pretty sure. Again, I saw those losses articles, but there's no telling where he really got out. But there's no way to really tell where he got in either. We don't really know if he made money or not. A lot of people there was a lot of stuff floating around. They were saying that that was a hedge position against this real position, which was long, and like all these different things. And so there's no way to know. Bro, there's been tacos at Jack in the Box for what, like 15 years? They're 50 cents a piece. You get two for $1. I think they have like big tacos now too. The last time I went, they had like these little mini tacos that were small. We're pretty good. Taco Bell, I'm not like I never understood the hype of Taco Bell. Like it's all right, but and I like Mexican food and tacos, but all right, so Nvidia now back under $500 again. Under 500. I don't think it matters much. I think when earnings drop, it's going to move a lot. Yeah, I mean, earnings are certainly coin flips. I know there's a lot of people that use this time to gamble, though. And again, if that's you at home, just be careful, man. Like, again, understand it's very difficult to predict what happens here. And it's even more difficult to get the right exit if you are in this. You got to wait until 8:30 tomorrow morning to sell your options if you're holding them now. And anything could happen in that period of time. It really is a gamble. Just be careful. Put the music back up. Earnings beat, price will plummet. It depends on what guidance shows up as. More than $2 trillion was printed and energy is high. I'm probably going higher. I don't see inflation coming down. Well, it's slowing. It never really goes down, but it slows. This is the 200 EMA and the volume weighted average price. These are my two favorite indicators. You see out the LSU colors. How about Jaden Daniels for Heisman? Like, who cares about that Oregon quarterback? Dude, Jaden Daniels. He had the better stats. All right, so Nvidia now dipping down, hitting the volume weighted average price right now, under $4.99. Earnings are priced in. Yeah, I mean, we've had this big move. If you look at a 20-day chart, Nvidia's had a big upward move over the last 20 days. Again, it went from up 25% basically in the last, again, since November 1st. This month, it's up big. So y'all be careful. Again, I don't know what's going to happen. I hope it goes up. Just be smart. One share for entertainment. And good luck, man. So again, look at Nvidia down to 498s, 498s. You got 700 here. I'm going to do a poll. I forgot to do a poll on this, man. I forgot to do my poll. I'm going to do a Twitter poll real quick right now, but I forgot to do one live. All right. we got that poll live. We're going to do a poll right here live as well. Do they beat or miss? All right, bounce it back up to 499. Let's see if they hold. Bro, these crypto bot spammers have got to be the worst people in existence right now. Tesla's still looking pretty strong today at 241s. Jim Cramer said Nvidia goes up. Oh man, that's a bad move. Did he really? Bro, I swear, if Nvidia goes down after Cramer said it, he's got to be the worst predictor in history. But again, I think the reason Cramer works, in my opinion, the real reason it works, it's telling you the market's going to crash, and then the market ends up ripping up 10+%. For the same reason that worked. Sorry, yeah, I got a black eye. I'm tough right now. I got it from Jiu-jitsu. But for the same reason that works, it's probably because he's got corporate interests. So like again, who do you think missed out on the big run? Retail traders. Who do you think made money on the big run? Corporations. Banks. And so I think that's one of the reasons inverse Cramer works, is because he's got corporate interests. Same reason everybody a year ago, retail was telling me the market was going to crash, and the market ended up ripping up, and retail missed it. I think ultimately it goes sideways. Maybe. Walmart. Yeah, Walmart's up a lot. All right, we got 11 minutes. Y'all do me a favor. Hit the sub button. Hit the notification bell. I'm going to put it in sub-only mode. Wait, that's the wrong stream. That's the right one. All right. Yeah, we're going to throw it in sub-only mode. Hit that subscribe button. I think we're pretty close to 119K. I think we're pretty close. Yeah, we need like 200 subs to hit 119K. Pretty close. We'll hit it tomorrow, if not today. Everybody announce yourself. We just put it in sub-only mode. Announce yourself in chat. So you're subscribed. We appreciate it. We did the poll on Nvidia. We got a decent amount of votes. 63.5% of people think we're going to beat. 36.5% of people think we're going to miss. Decent amount of votes in like 2 minutes. Hola, mi amigo. Hey, thank you, Robert. Thank you, Christian. Nvidia ripping up. Yeah, be careful, bro. People get mad at you if you say ripping. You say popping, ripping, they're just going to get mad. Typically, it's bearish traders. Like if you're really bearish on Nvidia and you hear me over here being like, hey, Nvidia's ripping up on a 50-cent move, might make you a little insecure. And so what are you going to do? You're going to say, ugh, it's not ripping. It's not popping. I see it. I see what y'all are doing. I see why y'all are like that. It's okay. Listen, I'm not even saying Nvidia goes up. We'll see if it does. But Justice Department and partners announcing crypto enforcement. I thought that was just the CZ news. That wasn't CZ getting charged. All right, so CZ just put out a post here. I'm going to quote it. Today, I stepped down as CEO of Binance. Admittedly, it was not easy to let go emotionally, but I know it's the right thing to do. I made mistakes, and I must take responsibility. This is best for our community, for Binance, and for myself. Binance is no longer a baby. It's time for me to let it walk and run. I know Binance will continue to grow and excel with the deep bench it has. I'm pleased to announce that Richard Ting, our now former global head of regional markets, has been named the new CEO. Rich is a highly qualified leader with over 3 decades of financial services regulatory experience. He will navigate the company through its next period of growth. He will ensure Binance delivers on our next phase of security, transparency, and compliance and growth. All right, this is too long, but it's really long. But again, CZ put out a statement on this, so. Here we go. Get ready for Nvidia, guys. It's time. I need gumbo. I already ate my gumbo. It's all done. Seafood gumbo. Got a little shrimp in there, you know. He didn't really bother FTX. He just kind of, he was going to buy them. Maybe he was never really intention on buying them, but my guess, he looked at their books and he was like, nah. All right, so we're almost up to 500 again. We're still consolidating. We're so choppy right now with everything. The SPY, the NASDAQ, Nvidia. Again, I think Nvidia is actually technically scheduled to release theirs at 420, everybody's favorite number. So we'll see if they do or not. But no, I never really put a penny into FTX. You can't walk in that. All right, I guess you picked that. Love you. Okay. Have a good day. Sorry, my daughter's in here asking for money to go with her friends. Nvidia to 600. Yeah, I mean, I see Nvidia dipping back down to 499s right now. Pretty flat. Again, when the earnings come out, all of this is going to be insignificant. The real question is, does it break lifetime highs? And again, I really don't know. I really don't know. Technically, Nvidia earnings aren't really scheduled to release until 420. They could drop early. That's possible for sure as well. Again, y'all hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, team. We appreciate it. Wait, did I monetize this stream? I did. Okay, good. So here's the closing bell. Tell her to look in the jeans that I was wearing. Tell her to look in the jeans. It also could be in the SUV. Yeah, we're gonna stream the entire call. All right, Nvidia is starting to break down under the VWAP, under the 200 EMA, under the volume weighted average price. All right, again, 3 minutes, really a little bit less than that, but yeah. Nvidia will crash the market. Another crash prediction. Maybe y'all are right. Again, I'm not saying y'all are wrong. I really don't know. What I will say is that every major big report, somebody's telling me the market's going to crash. Find it. All right, I'm here. Yeah. Maybe. All right, love you. Okay. Hey, hold on. Send Maddie in here real quick. Again, there's Nvidia backup. All right, so here is the closing bell, guys. You think someone in chat is an insider who actually knows what's going to happen and they come on and tell everyone, but no one listens? Very rarely. Most of the time, the big predictors that tell everybody something are usually wildly wrong, and then they just don't show up, or then they show up and say, oh, well, you know, I would have been right, but manipulation, you know, is usually what they say. Nobody cries manipulation more than somebody that's wildly wrong about a prediction in stocks, I promise. Again, Walmart dipping down a little bit. Nvidia back up to 500s. All right, so again, under 500s, SPY at 453.30s here. So here's the close. Put the timer up. I'm going to make it 4:20 because that's the technical time it's supposed to come out. So I'm going to make it 20 minutes because that's technically when the numbers are supposed to drop. But they could also release any time here, so we're going to prepare like they will. All right, so here's the closing bell. All right, guys. All right, there's the closing bell. Now, you'll know when Nvidia drops their numbers. All right, so still waiting here. We also had some other earnings that were scheduled to release today. Autodesk, HP. Autodesk should be dropping basically right now. We can look at that on the left side. You can see, again, Autodesk had scheduled to release theirs right at the closing bell. You can see them moving up to 219 right now. We'll cover them when they drop. All right, Nvidia back over 500. Yeah, Autodesk dropping. HP is scheduled for 415. All right, so Nvidia is still creeping up here. I don't think the earnings are out. Whenever, like, it's going to be a big candle when it happens. So it's going to be something that looks like this. Like, it's going to be like, or something like that. You know, it's not going to be a small candle, especially with Nvidia earnings, literally no matter what it is. Autodesk did release. They posted 207 EPS on 199 expectations, revenue of 1.4 versus 1.39. Again, we'll put this up in the comment section. Yeah, Nordstrom releases theirs, scheduled for 4:05. But yeah, look at Autodesk. Big range for Autodesk here. I don't really know what Autodesk is, to be honest. You want to make sure you hit the live button next to the play button, guys. So you want to make sure your live button looks like this. Again, make sure your live button looks like this to make sure you're fully caught up on stream. You want your live button to have a red dot next to it. Numbers they're scheduled for 420 mountains. So they're scheduled for 420. Canadian software company. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, they're scheduled for 420, which is where you see the timer in the top left is counting down to 420. But again, with earnings, like it can vary for sure. Like it can move. It can surprise people, I guess is the easiest way to put it. Autodesk still surging up at 226s. All right, so hey, Nvidia is still trying. Again, we've been day trading a lot today. You can kind of see in day trading on Top Step, we have made about $1,100, a little bit over that, $1,135 day trading. We got a 5.25 to 1 win-loss ratio. This is in futures. This is in futures. And so when we're day trading the S&P or the NASDAQ or gold or currencies or whatever it is. Again, we're basically day trading this symbol here, which is basically the Q. It's the same price action as the Q. Again, if I pull up the NASDAQ and then I pull up the Q, it's the same chart basically. But there's no PDT rule on this one. So I can day trade this in futures. No PDT rule on Top Step. Again, you can kind of see I can buy market, buy bid, sell the ask, just like stocks. You can see it's the same pattern here, but there's no PDT rule. So I can day trade short, all that good stuff. It's a great way to learn how to day trade is these funded account programs. Top Step is a sponsor of mine. I'm certainly biased because they pay me money. And always try to be transparent about that. But it's a great way to learn day trading with limited risk. The base one's $49. If you lose, you're out $50 basically. If you're good enough to pass it, you can get between 50 to 150K in funding with a 90% split. They pay out millions in actual withdrawals every year. They fund thousands a year. They've been around for over a decade. And so it's kind of the best of both worlds. Again, in futures, you can day trade S&P, NASDAQ. Patterns are very similar to stocks, blue chips at least, but there's no PDT rule. And it's a great way to learn. If you lose, you're out $50. You can reset it for $50. If you're good enough to pass it, you got to make the base one. You got to make 3K in profit on the 50K demo without losing 2K. So it's a 2 to 3 ratio, a reasonable ratio. Just a great way to learn day trading. Or if you don't have that much equity, a great way to kind of try to get started for cheap. And if you're good enough to pass it, great. If not, you probably would have lost more putting up the money yourself. And most day traders lose. So it's a great way to learn. Check out the link. They are a sponsor of mine. Nvidia is still waiting for earnings. They're at 501s right now, 501.50s. Big candlesticks moving, but not really any big action. Again, we got the NASDAQ here. Steady, choppy, waiting for this report to drop. Do you ever trade this kind of news? Not before the report. Like I'll attack the trend after the report, or if I see some like deep extension from the earnings play. Like a good example, Amazon reported earnings one time, and it had mixed results. It wasn't like the worst earnings report, but they dropped 20%. From that, I ended up buying it up, and this was like 6 months ago. I've been telling this story for years. I saw another guy post a very similar strategy. I feel like, but again, I've been saying this for like a year now because this is really what happened. So Amazon dropped like 20% on mixed results. They had like good EPS but bad sales or something like that, and slightly bad guidance, but they dropped 20% on it. And so I ended up buying up Amazon at a very cheap price, and within a couple days it had bounced back over 10%. I made very quick, big percentage returns on buying up just a really emotional overreaction of Amazon earnings. And so that's a play that I use very often. That is a strategy that I use a ton. I've been talking about it for years. It really is like, I find the edge to be really high. But basically what I have to do is I look for blue chip stocks. It has to be blue chips. It can't be penny stocks. Penny stocks are crap. They're not extended. They're just weak. It can't be mid caps because mid caps are a lot of the time overhyped and they're not really as strong as people say. And a lot of them can drop huge, like 75% or more in a year. I don't do those either. I'm looking for blue chip companies, Apple, Amazon, Walmart, Target, whatever it is. And I just look for big emotional overreactions. They can be from earnings or they can be from anything really. And then I buy that dip and I sit on it. And then if it doesn't go my way, I can usually just hold it long enough till it comes back. And if it does go my way, great. I can take profit or do whatever I want to do. That's one of my favorite systems lately. But again, you got to do it on the right stocks. You can't just buy CEI penny stock and expect it to work. All right, guys, scheduled to release in about 12 minutes. Still very choppy. Look at the down wicks here, which just show choppiness. Earnings are not out yet. You'll see Nvidia move a lot more when earnings drop. Again, you can kind of see right now we're very sideways, very neutral. If I go over here right now, like that's choppiness, right? Like that's very choppy, very neutral. You can see the down wicks, like you can see this big down wick right here, and this big down wick, like I'm a weatherman, like all in this area over here. Again, you can see the big down wick right there. That usually means pressure to one side, but in this case, if it's having these big wicks and nothing is really going on, it's apprehension. It's indecision is what it is. So not out yet. We'll see if we can wait for the numbers to come out and see what happens there. Still pretty flat. The technical, we're going to stream the entire earnings call as well, guys. We'll stream the entire earnings call as well. So stick around. Once the earnings drop, the earnings call starts at I think it's at 5 p.m. market time. Does inflation impact earnings negatively? Yes and no. Higher inflation means companies typically make more money, but it's worth less. And so it's super nuanced. It can. Yes and no is the only answer I'm going to give there. I don't, in some ways, sure. In other ways, absolutely not. It helps them make more money and makes them seem stronger. But again, super nuanced. Hard thing to argue. I'm using Quant Tower, AV. Quant Tower is my favorite. It's the most similar to TOS, which is what I use in stocks. What's up, Kevin? John, what's good? A little late today, but I made it. What's up, man? What's up, Daniel? Yeah, AMD is certainly going to move with Nvidia as well. Just big sympathy movement with it. Now we got about 3,000 people here for Nvidia earnings, so everybody's kind of waiting. Big short on Nvidia. It's way too expensive. Maybe. Again, I hope you're wrong, but maybe. All right, team. What time will they upload quarterly reports? Again, 4:20 is when the report's scheduled to come out. We're going to stream the whole thing live, so you'll be able to watch it like right here. We'll cover it very quickly. You'll notice as soon as it drops because you'll see the volatility in price. So when Nvidia earnings come out, it's going to be something like boom or something like boom, depending on if it's good or bad. So you'll notice the candlestick movement and the price action showing up with heavy volume, big swings. And yeah, again, it's technically scheduled to release in about 7.5 minutes. Yeah, there also might be a big timer on screen. There might be, you know. All I remember is last earnings the next day. Market dumped. It was a good day to make money. The way we make money. Yeah, volatility for day trading is usually pretty good, but again, y'all subscribe. We're almost to 119,000. We need 150 likes or 150 subs now. We got 3,000 of you guys here. Listen, we do these things for you degenerates at home. Hit the subscribe button, all right? Join the degenerate community here. That's a tough word to say, degenerate. I don't know if I'd be able to say that 5 times in a row fast. But hey, subscribe here, guys. Join the degenerate community of the century right here. Again, Nvidia earnings expected at 318 EPS on revenue of 16.12 billion. We'll see if we hit that. Will we beat or miss, guys? Leave it up in the chat. They should be releasing in 7 minutes. I know what the word is, okay? I degenerate. But it's just, for whatever reason, it's hard for me to say. Maybe I've been streaming for too long today. I've been streaming for like 7 hours today, all right? So don't judge me. Miss. Beat. Last earnings, Nvidia had a big jump after a beat and then dialed back to low 400s in the following weeks. Beat. I usually trade the NASDAQ or the E-mini. I trade a little bit of both. The Dow sometimes as well. Just depends. Beat but drop. Ellen Degenerate. I love it. Beat earnings and bad guidance? Maybe. I think guidance are going to be the cherry on top that'll influence. Guidance will be the belle of the ball metric, you know. All right, guys. 5.5 minutes. Beat, but slow guidance. A lot of people say that. Beat, we want stocks to move too much, though. Play both sides. Don't matter if earnings are good. Earnings have to be flawless like Amazon. Well, yeah, guidance is a big factor, as well as like potential extension leading up to it. The stock market has moved up a lot in all markets, equities, index funds. They've moved up a lot in anticipation of this. And so they're already up a lot. And so in that regard, like, we have some front loading into a potential earnings reaction already. And so even if we come in well with earnings, you know, if you look at a 20-day chart, market's still up a lot for Nvidia. Nvidia is what dragged the market up. It's gone from basically 430s, 420s, you know, about 17 market days ago was at 400s, under that at 392s. And so it's up all the way to over 500. That's a 25% plus move from 400 to 500 over the last couple of days. So it's already up a lot. And so I can kind of agree that there might be arguable extension here for Nvidia. I'm not saying there is, but I think anything that's up that much ahead of earnings is going to, you know, take a little bit more to have big upward price action, in my opinion. Maybe not, though. We'll see. Yeah, we got about 3,200 here, 3,300 here. Appreciate the love, guys. Again, subscribe. Let me see my sub count. How dare you guys not give me over 119K? You should feel ashamed of yourself at home. How dare you? The audacity of you all here watching my stream and not subscribing. Subscribe now, I'll ban you forever. I'm just joking. Kind of. Nvidia at over 500. Will it hold? Again, the lifetime highs, guys, I feel the need to clarify this, is not 506 in price. The lifetime high is 520. It hit that in pre-market or extended hours sometime a couple months ago. So the lifetime high is not 506. It is actually 520. And so 520 is the high level. You can see we drew it on the chart. It's actually right here. We'll make it big and bold so you guys can see it. We'll make it green. That is the lifetime high level. We'll extend it to the left as well. That is the lifetime high level on Nvidia. Will we hit it, guys? Waiting for the numbers to drop. Nothing out yet. Again, weren't they late the last earnings report? I feel like they were late last time. Not 100% sure, but I feel like they might have been. Hey, I see all the subs coming in. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys have a good meal on Thursday. Wish you and your family the best. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yeah, again, I don't charge a penny for content. Like, we have sponsors and stuff, but I don't sell a course. I don't claim to be an expert. I tell people I don't know pretty regularly. And so if you want somebody that just reports economic data fast, we get thousands of people showing up because we're reliable with it. We cover it quickly. But we also don't charge for content or sell a course. You know, other traders or YouTubers might not like us because of that, because we make their business model look bad. But again, I'm not against courses as long as you're not spending $6K on a mentorship program or something like that. Anyways. Yeah, last time they were late, I remember it was like this big thing. Everybody was talking about it on social media, them being late. Hey, we need 45 subscribers here, guys. Just in that last little rant, we gained a couple hundred or 100 and something subs. Listen, little baby 45 subs. Y'all can do that. I shouldn't even need to ask again. But no, I appreciate it. It's been a fun couple months for growth. See, I gotta keep scrolling to catch back up on chat. All right, guys, we're up to 501.70s, 501.70s. I mean, you can become a member. You don't get anything extra for it. Like, the only content we have for members only are from like years ago when Money Mitch had been Zinga and I ran this channel. But you don't really get anything extra. It's just a way to support the channel. Becoming a member is different from subbing, by the way, you know. Yeah, Top Step you could pay for level 2. A correction is due. Yeah, maybe. I could probably agree. Again, I think Nvidia is a little extended on the upside. All right, guys, a minute and a half here, team. A minute and a half. We got almost 4,000 people here. Nah, we should probably already be over 119K is my guess. Yeah, we just broke it. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate the love, guys. All it takes is 3,500 degenerates here to break 119K. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much. All right, here we go. 45 seconds. Again, make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. Here, guys. Again, you want to hit the live button next to the play button. You want to make sure your live button is red. Okay, that's how you know you're live and caught up. Numbers dropping in 30 seconds. They really could drop anytime now, but you want to make sure your live button has a red dot next to it like this. All right, here we go. 20 seconds. Again, last time they were late. Show feet live. Bro, I got the best looking feet on this side of Texas. Actually, I don't. My feet are like, Carol makes fun of me about my feet because they're all like Hobbit-like, she says. Proud of John. Thank you, Shanice. I appreciate it. All right, so look, earnings look like they're out. Look, there we go. It looks like they reported on time. I don't know yet. This isn't really a big move. This might just be traders. There we go. All right, big surge up. 506s. HP released their numbers. 508s. This is actually kind of a small move, though, to be honest, team. All right, Nvidia, 402 EPS versus 337. Revenue of 18.12 versus 16.18 expected. Beat both EPS and revenue for Nvidia. Beat both EPS and revenue. Let's look for guidance, though. Retracing a lot. There's a big retracement. My guess is guidance came out. Let's check it out. Big retracement back down. Adjusted EPS was 402. Beat estimates. All right, so we're going to start putting these metrics up in chat, okay? So we have data center revenue up 279%. Data center revenue up 279%. Third quarter automotive revenue up 4%. Professional visualization third quarter revenue up 108%. Let's see if we got any guidance. Gaming revenue up 81% to 2.86 billion. Third quarter data center revenue at 14.51 billion. Automotive revenue at 261 million. Nvidia turning back down here, guys, all the way down to 475s. 475s. That's a big turn. Let's see if we see some guidance. Net revenue came in at 9.24 bill. 9.24 bill. Turning everything on the NASDAQ here as well. So, yeah, big turnaround here, guys. Big turnaround for Nvidia. I told you guys I thought we were a little extended, but it doesn't mean much. Let's see if guidance comes out, or let's see if they report it. We got 4,000 people here, guys. Thanks so much. Over 4,000 people here. Again, big retracement back up to 481s, 482s. Let's see if we can hold 480 now. Still waiting for these numbers to drop. They guided for quarter four, 20 billion plus or minus 2% versus the CIQ. Good guidance for Nvidia. So Nvidia guided well here, team. That's huge. All right, so good guidance for Nvidia. They guided well. I'm going to put this up on the bottom. Again, they came out with fourth quarter guidance at 20 billion plus or minus 2% versus 17.8 billion expectational guidance. And so now they're starting to bounce back after that guidance number came out. So they had good guidance, good EPS, and good revenue. All the way back up to 495s, back down to 490. Very volatile right now. You can see the NASDAQ on the left side moving with us here. Look at this big movement on the NASDAQ. Wow. What's going on, chat? It's chaos in here. Yeah, we're going to cover the earnings call. All right, so yeah, it beat all around. It had better than expected EPS, better than expected revenue, better than expected fourth quarter guidance. We're still covering this as it drops. Data revenue, gaming revenue, 2.86%. So the CEO, Jensen, said NVIDIA GPUs, CPUs, networking, AI foundry services, and NVIDIA AI enterprise software are all growth engines in full throttle. The era of generative AI is taking off. Gaming revenue for the third quarter is up to 2.86 billion, up 15%. Quarter over quarter, up 81% year over year. These are actually pretty good results, honestly. Third quarter data revenue up to 14.51 billion, up 41% quarter over quarter. These are pretty good results. Again, Nvidia is already up 25% though over the last like 10 to 15 days. And so again, even if they had good numbers, I think extension might be playing a factor here, but this is a great report, to be honest. They had better than expected. They guided well. Fourth quarter revenue came in at 20 billion plus or minus 2% versus 17.8 billion expected. I'm showing other people guided expectations for the fourth quarter at 16.38. So that's an even larger beat for guidance versus the other one that we had. So it just depends on which analyst you look at. But all of them were better than expected for guidance, better than expected for EPS, better than expected for revenue. And again, we're going to stream the entire earnings call live here like we always do. So stick around. Third quarter professional visualization revenue came in at 416 million versus 410.6 million expected. Auto revenue came in at 261 versus 268. So auto revenue a little bit lower than expected. They're starting to rebound all the way back up and heat all the way back up here. They expect sales to China to decline significantly in the fourth quarter. That might be what this is. And so again, we're going to put this up in chat. That might be what's dragging them down. Yeah, I'm sure AMD might be. All right, so we're back up to 500 here, team. So we initially reacted to the downside. We are now fighting our way back up. Again, the earnings call drops soon. We still got over 4,000 people here. Again, Nvidia about to test 500. The NASDAQ starting to bounce back too. So we're back up to 500, basically split on this. And again, if you haven't already, check out Top Step. If you want to day trade some of these economic stuff, I always day trade the NASDAQ because you can see the NASDAQ moves very similar to Nvidia. Look, here's Nvidia, here's the NASDAQ, same price action basically. And you can day trade this left side in futures on Top Step in the funded account program on Top Step. In futures in general, there's no PDT rule. So you can day trade short, buy market, sell market. Top Step's the most legit funded program in the world. They give you a demo, they test your skill. If you can pass the test, they fund you between 50 to 150K. Great way to limit your risk if you're first getting started and you want to learn how to trade under pressure. If you're good enough to trade well and potentially pass it, you don't have that much equity, this is a great option as well. They are a sponsor of mine. I'm certainly biased in their favor because they pay me money, but if you want to check it out, shameless plug here in chat, check them out. Link is in the chat right now. You can also find it in the description. But yeah, so far Nvidia has churned all the way back up to 500 bucks. We'll see if it holds, guys. Will it hold? Let me know. Let's do a poll right now. So we asked if we'll beat or miss. They beat all the way around here. We got thousands of votes. Does Nvidia close over 500 today is going to be the question on the poll. Does Nvidia close over 500 today? Pretty neutral earnings report. To be honest, we're basically flat relative to when the numbers came out. Vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think. We're at 495s. What a crazy report here, to be honest. All right, now we're dipping down a little bit. Nvidia at 495s here. Might day trade some of this now. All right, let me switch it. I don't know which one. All right, so Nvidia testing 500 again here, team. Oh, it's closed. I can't day trade right now. That's what it is. So yeah, you can't day trade this because you can't day trade after the closing bell. Look at Nvidia over 500 right now, over 500. Back up to 503s here. We're getting ready here. I guess why I try to tell people, nobody freaking knows what's going to happen with these reports. Nobody does. You can't trade in after hours and extended hours. You have to close your positions down by closing bell. I forgot. You can trade economic reports like the Fed minutes report is what I was thinking of. But yeah. We're at 502s right now. Same thing with options. You can't trade options as well. Yeah, nobody knows, man. You know, you don't have to trade daily. All right, so we're still testing that previous closing price. So again, you can see Nvidia, the previous closing price is right here. And again, we're going to stream the full earnings call live here, guys. So the full earnings call will be streamed live here at 5 p.m. And so stick around. Full earnings call stream live here at 5 p.m. Be ready. We're going to cover the whole thing live as it happens. Yeah, so again, they guided. Again, 5 p.m. They guided for 20 billion in the fourth quarter. 20 billion. So we'll put that up here so people can see it. Again, we're testing $500 here now. We're testing 500. Again, the previous closing price is right above us. So we are right above. We are technically red on the day. Very flat from this earnings report. Again, they showed 402 EPS. They expected 337 on revenue of 18.12 billion. They expected 16.18 billion. They guided for fourth quarter revenue of 20 billion plus or minus 2% versus the analyst consensus estimate of 12.8 billion. So again, better than expected guidance. Better than expected EPS, better than expected revenue, basically flat from this report. But again, that's not a shock. Prior to this report, we told you guys, Nvidia is up like 25% over the last 20 days here in markets, somewhere close to that, at least around 25%. So they're up a lot. Again, extension is a thing in markets, and this is no exception. Starting to turn a little bit. Let's see if any other metrics are coming out here today. All right, so again, we're going to read some more here. Fourth quarter GAAP and non-GAAP, and GAAP meaning generally accepted accounting principles. Gross margins are expected to be 74.5% and 75.5% respectively, plus or minus 50 basis points. Revenue is expected to be 20 billion plus or minus 2%. GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses in the fourth quarter are expected to be 3.17 and 2.2 billion respectively. Fourth quarter GAAP and non-GAAP other income and expenses are expected to be an income of approximately 200 million, excluding gains and losses from non-affiliated investments. Again, fourth quarter GAAP and non-GAAP tax rates are expected to be 15% plus or minus 1%, excluding any discrete items. And they expect the sales to China and country groups D1, D4, and D5 groups are going to decline significantly in the first quarter of fiscal year of 2024. So Nvidia Corporation CFO says inventory was 4.78 billion with days sales of inventory of 92 in quarter. So again, we're starting to dip down a little bit. Still very flat, relative to what we were doing prior to this report. The earnings call could influence things a lot, but so far it's pretty neutral reaction here. We pushed up a little bit initially. We dipped down a little bit. We bounced back. Now we're pulling back a little bit. So very flat right now. No big crashes or anything. Yeah, I mean, H, if you think this is a rug pull, you don't understand markets, brother. Again, I'm not saying we don't drop more. I'm not saying we don't, but this definitely ain't it yet. I mean, what are we down 1%? Man, what a rug pull. I get it. People are biased in specific directions, but I think some people are just desperate to say I told you so. But again, Nvidia at 496s, 497s, pretty neutral. I mean, that's obvious, very self-evident. Yeah, I mean, maybe we do rug pull, but this ain't it yet. That's for sure. Again, we're down 1% right now, which is a very small percentage for Nvidia, to be honest, especially for an earnings call. So we're basically flat. Again, I'm not saying we don't rug pull, but we're certainly not there yet. And I understand people might there's a lot of ego that floats around in trading. People really want to be right. And again, you guys listen to me where I said ahead of earnings that it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a huge beat for Nvidia to move up at all because they're extended heading into this report. And I'd like to be right as well. But either way, we're completely flat right now. We're at 395s, 396s. That's basically where we were prior to this. So anybody on both sides trying to do some type of celebratory dance or whatever is just kind of posturing, desperate to be right. And again, we don't see that right now. Call is at 5 p.m. Yeah, Nvidia was the cause of the NASDAQ movement. Again, Nvidia is the number 4 weighted stock in the S&P, so it's a big mover. It's heavily weighted. Yeah, market manipulation. Yeah, again, there's a lagging effect a lot of the time with stuff like this. But again, we're just not there yet. Maybe we move. Again, I'm not saying we don't crash. I'm not saying we don't rip up. We're just not there yet. We're at 495s, 496s. We're basically completely flat from this report. Yeah, earnings are out. They might be right here below me. There could be. They might be. Not saying they are, but all right, we got 25 minutes left, team. Call is at 5 p.m. We got 25 minutes. Again, hit that subscribe button. We got jobless claims and durable good orders tomorrow. We cover all the big economic reports here live for free every weekday. We don't charge a penny for anything. Everything we drop is completely free. All right, so again, we're still consolidating, starting to dip a little bit more. This is definitely looking a little bit more weak, but again, I would say there's a pretty underwhelming reaction from earnings so far. Maybe we're waiting for something. I think even a neutral earnings report is going to be considered a W for Nvidia. I think even a neutral report could be considered, a W for it. Again, if you want to check out another one of my sponsors, one of them is a company called Chart Prime. It's a trading view indicator service you can use in stocks, crypto, forex, futures. Again, it's a trading view service, so you got to use it in stocks, crypto, forex, futures. But I use it a ton with my trading. Let me turn this heater off, man. It's hot. Again, stick around. We are going to stream the earnings report live as it happens. But yeah, I use this a ton for my trading, and you can kind of see why. So like, again, if I put up like the S&P 500 to the E-mini, and I can use this on any symbol, any stock. Lately, the one I've been using the most is the regular market oracle on a 1 minute time frame. So like really short term. You can also see it automatically draws out like flag patterns and stuff like that. But again, watch the accuracy here just in short term, like strength and weakness. So we had the buy signal here, way down here at the bottom. You got a nice bounce. Strong buy signal there worked. Sell signal there worked. Sell signal here worked. Buy signal there worked. Strong sell signal there worked. This one you might be able to say this one didn't work. Sell signal worked. Buy signal, beautiful move up. Sell signal worked. Buy signal worked. This strong one, maybe you could say it didn't work. This buy signal worked. Sell signal worked. Again, back test it yourself. There's so many different ones that you can use as well. Like they have this new prime screener. You can use smart money concepts. I can look up the regular market oracle, and I can put this on an hourly time frame as well. But I like using the 5 minute time frame for the regular market oracle. But again, like if you look at this, you can use these on any time frame in stocks, crypto, forex, futures. My favorite way to use the regular market oracle is when we get an engulfing candle like this and a reversal signal. The likelihood of a follow through reversal is really high. Look at that. Same thing here. The engulfing candle has to be right on top of the reversal signal. Like, look at that. Beautiful bounce back. Reversal down, literally called the top. Look, reversal down, bearish engulfing candle, you get drops. But again, when they're right on top of each other, like these two, like this one here and like this one here, they can be really high percentage accuracy. And again, you can set alerts for it in TradingView as well. But again, you can keep going back. Look, here's another example of that. Engulfing candle, reversal up signal, beautiful bounce. So again, when they're right on top of each other like this, they can be really powerful. And this is just a small piece. They also just added their back tester, right? So they just added their back tester where I can put up, I can back test stocks. I'm still learning how to use it. They also put their screener up here where if I put like the regular market Oracle Pro on a 5 minute chart on the regular E-mini, and I might want to try it on the NASDAQ, but again, the buy and sell signals here can be powerful as well. The back tester will actually test these themselves. So you can see when they work, what time frames they work on and all that different stuff. But like sell signal drop, buy signal bounce, sell signal drop, strong buy signals, nice little bounce. And again, you can kind of see which ones they work. I can edit this here with the screener and put in any symbol I want, the E-mini, the NASDAQ, see how much they're working, how many confirmations, see what trend is currently in it. There's also smart money concepts. I could put up different oscillators. There's just so much stuff, and it's like $50 a month. I think the value is really obvious. Right now, if you sign up for the lifetime subscription, you get the back tester. So I don't think you can get the back tester yet. I think it's only limited to people who pay for the lifetime subscription. But again, if you want to check it out, they are a sponsor of mine. I'm certainly biased in their favor. I'll post the link up right here if you want to check it out. I'm pretty sure the buy and sell signals don't repaint at all. I would check, with them first. It's called Chart Prime. It's a sponsor of mine. You can see the link in the description or in the chat right there. Hey, nice, Marksman. That's great, man. Congrats, bro. Hey, thanks, Stefan. Or is it Steven? Yeah, I mean, Nvidia had a PE ratio when I calculated about 95. So it's certainly high, but I think you got to consider growth in the influence of like, okay, if you look at Nvidia's EPS graph, right, you have to take into account growth. Like their revenue graph is probably a better example here. So like with AI becoming such a widely used technology, I think you have to take into account some of this stuff. Like you can see the latest pump up. This was the last quarter. So this one doesn't even include this quarter here for revenue for Nvidia, in which like here was the last quarter, right? This next one's going to be way up here. You know, like way up there. It's like what, 18s? So it's going to be way up here for the next one. Same thing with trailing 12-month revenue. Same thing with EPS, right? If we look at an EPS graph of the same thing, again, what it coming at, $4 a share? So it's going to have the highest profitability Nvidia's ever had. And so I think that's why, despite the current PE ratio, I think that's why people are still buying it and hyped up about it, you know? And again, that's why it can have these good numbers, but also not move that much higher, because the PE ratio is like objectively high. But still, I think you got to look at future potential growth in AI and what that's going to do to Nvidia and other AI symbols. But maybe I'm wrong. Again, you know, I think people have to understand, like, the biggest edge you'll ever have in markets, and again, I say this 1,000 times a day, the biggest edge you'll ever have in markets is long-term upward action. Like blue chips in the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow, they are going to move up over time without question. Crashes are incredibly rare. We've only had 3 times in history in which we've had more than one red year in a row in markets ever. 3 times in history, over a century, or around a century. And so what does that mean? That means bear markets are incredibly rare long-term. Long-term bear markets are rare. What it also means is that blue chip stocks are typically going to go up over time. And I'm not saying Nvidia doesn't. I'm not saying Nvidia does or doesn't. I don't know what Nvidia is going to do. Again, the PE ratio is objectively high for Nvidia. What I'm saying is that betting against these behemoth companies, the most successful companies in the world, like Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, it's a risky bet. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't do it. Again, I agree there might be some extension on Nvidia on the upside. I think long term it doesn't matter though. And so again, risky bet. That's all I'm saying. Maybe we are in a bubble. Again, I don't know. Again, we're at 494s right now, so pretty flat report. We'll see what the earnings call says in 15 minutes. You clearly have no understanding of company evaluation. No, I mean, what I understand is mass psychology here. You know, like, again, the stock market is not exactly about company health. It's about perceived health. And so regardless of what the company's health is, if people think it's worthwhile, they'll still buy it. The stock price will still go up. You know, again, I've had 1,000 people here telling me the market was going to have some big bear trend that started a year ago. We're not there yet. Again, I get it. You might be wrong. It might be kind of emotional about it and say, hey, well, you know, I'm right and anybody who disagrees with me is wrong. That's fine. What I'm saying is nobody freaking knows what Nvidia is going to do. I certainly don't. And so again, it's all good. It's all love here, bro. But I have no idea what Nvidia is going to do. I told you guys I thought it might be extended on the upside, but you don't want to be so one-dimensional direction-wise that you get emotional anytime somebody tells you a potential outlook on the other side, you know. What do you think about Tesla? I think the Cybertruck delivery on the 30th of this month will be a big influence over it. We'll stream that as well for Tesla, but all right, so we're at 496s. 496s. We'll see if it moves. Again, earnings call starts in 15 minutes, 14 minutes. We're going to stream the entire thing live. Let me switch out my headphones before I forget. All right. 496. That $500 level. Let me know if you hear the music now. Can you hear the music? No, the earnings call doesn't start for 13 minutes. All right, so we're waiting on hold for the earnings call. Again, it hasn't started yet. It starts in 13 minutes. We're going to stream the entire thing live right now. Just found your YouTube. Thanks for your live coverage. Going to be checking out your other videos. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, again, guys, it's crazy how many people get upset if I'm like, hey, I have no idea what's going to happen with Nvidia. You know, it's crazy how many people are just super emotional about their own predictions. Like, listen, guys, I have no idea what Nvidia is going to do. Nvidia is up a huge amount over the last 20 days. What I'm saying is that you could always, it's always a healthy thing to look at the argument for the other side. Regardless of whether I think Nvidia is extended on the upside, I think you got to look at the other potential outcome here. If you're too rigid with your views in the market, you're probably going to lose a lot of money. You have to understand both sides and understand that the market will humble you. Again, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent is the big cliched quote that everybody throws around, and I get it, and it's absolutely true. And so again, I've seen 1,000 people, genuinely probably hundreds of people come to my streams a year ago and tell me that the market was going to imminently crash because of X, Y, and Z. And again, I'm going to tell you guys the same thing that I told them at the time. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Maybe we do crash. Maybe we don't. If you start shaming people who think that we're not going to crash tomorrow, it shows inexperience in markets. Because again, if you've been around the market long enough, which again, I've been trading every day for years and years, and I'm not trying to claim I'm the most experienced either, but like when you're around the market long enough, you realize that nobody freaking knows. It's mostly of all the people who are the most definitive about the outcomes. So if you think something has to happen, if you think Nvidia has to correct, if you think Nvidia has to go up, it usually means you have the least amount of experience actually watching these type of things, because anything could freaking happen. I'm just against definitive statements. Nobody freaking knows. All I know is I don't freaking know, is what I'm saying. Hey, thank you, Mark. Maybe the earnings call will give more information. Earnings calls are usually like a big hype train for companies, though. So it's like usually they're just kind of pumping the company up. Unless they announce something that was unexpected that might influence it. We'll see. Yeah, you realize nobody knows. Yeah, but I think the contrarian view has to be looked at from the other side as well, Edgar. Specifically, like, again, specifically like a year ago, everybody was saying the market was going to crash. Oh, everybody, you got big YouTubers telling people a crash is imminent. Market's going to crash now. Right? That's all everybody was saying. You know, again, what happened? The S&P ripped up huge percentages over the next year. You know, after dipping down in 2021 and 2022, S&P ripped up huge percentages over the last year. Who missed out on those? A lot of retail traders did, because you got big influencers and big banks telling people the market's going to crash. Who made money from it? Probably the big banks, maybe the big YouTubers. I don't know. But my point is, nobody freaking knows. The biggest edge you'll ever get is long-term value investing. You know, over time, like, yes, the market crashes occasionally, specifically on average around every 10 years or so. But the S&P 500 will give you about 10%. S&P, Dow, NASDAQ will give you about 10% a year. And again, that includes crash statistics, which means that on good years, it's going to move up much more than 10%. And so, you know, if the market's up 8% on the year and everybody's saying, oh, well, we're extended on the upside, maybe we are, but it doesn't necessarily mean we are. If, you know, if you're understanding what I'm saying, like, anything could happen. Trade smart, diversify. Call is in 9 minutes, 8 minutes, really. They're still saying that, bro. They've been saying that for the last 10 years. You know, again, what I've told people before is that the market is in a constant state of crash predictors. Ask Michael Burry. He knows. I like Michael Burry, too. Michael Burry is who got me involved with trading. I started trading after watching the movie The Big Short with my wife in like 2015. is when the first time I ever started. I had invested prior to that. So I was an investor prior to that, but I started actually like trading after watching The Big Short with my wife in theaters in 2015, which is about Michael Burry's Big Short on the mortgage market. Quit lying, bro. We know you know. Bro, I don't know anything. I know Brendan Allen beat up Paul Craig in the UFC. That's what I know. I know Leon Edwards is about to knock out Colby Covington. I'm worried about Tony Ferguson, bro. He's a little chinny lately, you know. Paddy Pimblett. All right. Again, Nvidia still at 494s. I know Jaden Daniels should win the freaking Heisman over stupid Oregon quarterback. That's what I know. All right, guys. Hey, earnings call is about to start. Covington's good. He has no power though, but he's good. I'm not gonna lie. Covington's good. Again, he doesn't have any power though, is the problem. Like his power's questionable. Leon's got the power. And Leon just beat Usman in a 5-round battle, which wasn't just a flash KO. He stuffed his takedowns. I think Leon's got a good shot. Yeah, I just bought Dumb Money too and watched it with wife. It's actually really nostalgic for me because that's really where my channel grew big, was that same period. Like exactly what Roaring Kitty was doing, I was doing. I just wasn't pumping GameStop. I covered the GameStop squeeze, and when GameStop hit 550, I was like, yo, I'm selling. And the whole chat at the time, I had thousands of people there. The whole chat at the time turned on me, and they were like, you're not a true supporter of the movement. You know what the highs of GameStop were? Freaking 550, you know? I'm here 3 years later to say, aha, I told you. You know? My biggest problem with that movie is they make it out like GameStop was some like innocent company that was just beaten down by these mean old hedge funds, bro. GameStop had the worst corporate culture of any company in the world right there, bro. They would give like, ask anybody that worked at GameStop back then, they'll tell you GameStop sucked in that regard. They were like terrible company for working there. I never worked there. I had friends that did. And so them acting like the GameStop squeeze was anything but a pump and dump short squeeze, and that somehow GameStop is some wildly valuable company with is the problem I have with it. Again, GameStop is obsolete. People don't buy physical copies of video games. In the movie, they were even like, yeah, 25% of gamers still buy physical copies. It's like, oh, so you only lost 75% of your business then, GameStop. It's a problem. GameStop's not going to survive long-term unless they pivot drastically, and I don't know what that looks like. And so I like the movie. Screw the hedge funds. I dislike the hedge funds. I pick retail over hedge funds each time. But acting like GameStop was some wildly, like righteous company that was just beaten down by hedge funds is the problem I have with it, because that's just not true. The idea of not having a physical copy means you own nothing. Yeah, but that's implying that owning a video game is like owning a home, bro. It's not, that only works if it's something inherently really valuable. Video games usually lose their value very quickly. They're wildly depreciating. Ask GameStop. GameStop buys them back for $2. All right, guys, we got 3 minutes here. I'm gonna stop ranting about nonsense. Usman versus Chimaev. Yeah. That was a good fight. People are saying Chimaev looked weak, bro. They forget Usman's a dog, bro. Usman's good. That dude didn't lose for like half a decade, man. They're acting like Usman was some gimme fight that Chimaev struggled with. It's like, dude, Usman's Usman. Like, I was impressed, even though, I didn't think Usman won. A lot of people were like, oh, Usman got robbed. I didn't think you won, but I thought he did good versus Chimaev on short notice. I thought Chimaev did good versus Usman on short notice too. All right, guys, here we go. Earnings calls in 2.5 minutes. Yeah, I'm definitely top 3 nonsense ranters in the world for sure. Definitely top 3 greatest looking stock market Nvidia streamers in the world for sure right now. Definitely top 3. Humble as, humility flows through me like water, I've got the reflexes of a cheetah in the stock market. All right, guys. Hey, we got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Maybe a split. I don't know. Maybe. Again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. All right, guys. We got 1.5 minutes. We're sitting on hold. Y'all can hear the music. Before we start this, y'all can hear the music, correct? I just want to make sure. Oh, thank you, Dope. I appreciate it, man. I am hilarious. Thank you so much. Split sounds good. I mean, I think they could split, like what, 1 to 4 split it up into 4 pieces, make each share about $125. That might help. I don't know. All right, good. Thank you. All right, again, we're waiting. We're going to turn the music off now that I can have confirmed that you can hear it. All right, team. Less than a minute. All right, so I'm going to mute this music in the background and mute the background and then just play this so I can actually hear it. Healthy correction is due, maybe. They should let Connor do the earnings call. Bro, I wouldn't understand anything he's saying. Connor just put out like a freestyle, had no idea what he said at all. Everybody was like, oh, that was cold. I'm like, dude, I don't have no idea what Connor just said.
Good afternoon. My name is JL, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to Nvidia's third quarter earnings call. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, again, press the star 1.
Sound is good? Can y'all hear? Sound is good?
Simona, you may now begin your conference.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NVIDIA's conference call for the third quarter of fiscal 2024. With me today from NVIDIA are Jensen Huang, President and Chief Executive Officer, and Colette Kress, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. I'd like to remind you that our call is being webcast live on NVIDIA's Investor Relations website. The webcast will be available for replay until the conference call to discuss our financial results for the fourth quarter and fiscal 2024. The content of today's call is NVIDIA's property. It can be reproduced or transcribed without our prior written consent. During this call, we may make forward-looking statements based on current expectations. These are subject to a number of significant risks and uncertainties, and our actual results may differ materially. For a discussion of factors that could affect our future financial results and business, please refer to the disclosure in today's earnings release, our most recent Forms 10-K and 10-Q, and the reports that we may file on Form 8-K with the Securities and Exchange Commission. All statements are made as of today, November 21st, 2023, based on information currently available to us. Except as required by law, we assume no obligation to update any statements. During this call, we will discuss non-GAAP financial measures. You can find a reconciliation of these non-GAAP financial measures to GAAP financial measures in our CFO commentary, which is posted on our website. With that, let me turn the call over to Colette.
Thanks, Simona. Q3 was another record quarter. Revenue of $18.1 billion was up 34% sequentially and up more than 200% year on year, and well above our outlook of $16 billion. Starting with data center, the continued ramp of the Nvidia HGX platform based on our Hopper Tensor Core GPU architecture, along with InfiniBand end-to-end networking, drove record revenue of $14.5 billion, up 41% sequentially and up 279% year on year. Nvidia HGX with InfiniBand together are essentially the reference architecture for AI supercomputers and data center infrastructures. Some of the most exciting generative AI applications are built and run on Nvidia, including Adobe Firefly, ChatGPT, Microsoft 365 Copilot, CoAssist, Now Assist with ServiceNow, and Zoom AI Companion. Our data center compute revenue quadrupled from last year, and networking revenue nearly tripled. Investment in infrastructure for training and inferencing, large language models, deep learning recommender systems, and generative AI applications is fueling strong, broad-based demand for NVIDIA accelerated computing. Inferencing is now a major workload for NVIDIA AI computing. Consumer internet companies and enterprises drove exceptional sequential growth in Q3, comprising approximately half of our data center revenue and outpacing total growth. Companies like Meta are in full production with learning recommender systems and also investing in generative AI to help advertisers optimize images and text. Most major consumer internet companies are racing to ramp up generative AI deployment. The enterprise wave of AI adoption is now beginning. Enterprise software companies such as Adobe, Databricks, Snowflake, and ServiceNow are adding AI copilots and assistants to their platforms. And broader enterprises are developing custom AI for vertical industry applications such as Tesla and autonomous driving. Cloud service providers drove roughly the other half of our data center revenue in the quarter. Demand was strong from all hyperscale CSPs, as well as from a broadening set of GPU specialized CSPs globally that are rapidly growing to address the new market opportunities in AI. NVIDIA H100 Tensor Core GPU instances are now generally available in virtually every cloud, with instances in high demand. We have significantly increased supply every quarter this year to meet strong demand and expect to continue to do so next year. We will also have a broader and faster product launch cadence to meet a growing and diverse set of AI opportunities. Toward the end of the quarter, the U.S. government announced a new set of export control regulations for China and other markets, including Vietnam and certain countries in the Middle East. These regulations require licenses for the export of a number of our products, including our Hopper and Ampere 100 and 800 series, and several others. Our sales to China and other affected destinations derived from products that are now subject to licensing requirements have consistently contributed approximately 20 to 25% of data center revenue over the past few quarters. We expect that our sales to these destinations will decline significantly in the fourth quarter, though we believe they'll be more than offset by strong growth in other regions. The U.S. government designed the regulation to allow the U.S. industry to provide data center compute products to markets worldwide, including China. Continuing to compete worldwide, as the regulations encourage, promotes U.S. technology leadership, spurs economic growth, and supports U.S. jobs. For the highest performance levels, the government requires licenses. For lower performance levels, the government requires a streamlined prior notification process. And for products even lower performance levels, the government does not require any notice at all. Following the government's clear guidelines, we are working to expand our data center product portfolio to offer compliant solutions for each regulatory category, including products for which the U.S. government does not wish to have advance notice before each shipment. We are working with some customers in China and the Middle East to pursue licenses from the U.S. government. It is too early to know whether these will be granted for any significant amount of revenue. Many countries are awakening to the need to invest in sovereign AI infrastructure to support economic growth and industrial innovation. With investments in domestic compute capacity, nations can use their own data to train LLMs and support their local generative AI ecosystems. For example, we are working with India's government and largest tech companies, including Infosys, Reliance, and Tata, to boost their sovereign AI infrastructure. And French private cloud provider Scaleway is building a regional AI cloud based on Nvidia H100s, InfiniBand, and Nvidia AI enterprise software to fuel advancement across France and Europe. National investment in compute capacity is a new economic imperative, and serving the sovereign AI infrastructure market represents a multi-billion-dollar opportunity over the next few years. From a product perspective, the vast majority of revenue in Q3 was driven by the Nvidia HGX platform based on our Hopper GPU architecture, with lower contribution from the prior generation Ampere GPU architecture. The new L40S GPU, built for industry standard servers, began to ship, supporting training and inference workloads across a variety of customers. This was also the first revenue quarter of our GH200 Grace Hopper superchip, which combines our ARM-based Grace CPU with a Hopper GPU. Grace and Grace Hopper are ramping into a new multi-billion-dollar product line. Grace Hopper instances are now available at GPU specialized cloud providers and coming soon to Oracle Cloud. Grace Hopper is also getting significant traction with supercomputing customers. Initial system shipments to Los Alamos National Lab and the Swiss National Supercomputing Center took place in the third quarter. The UK government announced it will build one of the world's fastest AI supercomputers, called Isambard AI, with almost 5,500 Grace Hopper superchips. German Supercomputing Center, ULEC, also announced that it will build its next generation AI supercomputer with close to 24,000 Grace Hopper superchips and Quantum 2 InfiniBand, making it the world's most powerful AI supercomputer with over 90 exaflops of AI performance. All in, we estimate that the combined AI compute capacity of all the supercomputers built on Grace Hopper across the US, Europe, and Japan next year will exceed 200 exaflops, with more wins to come. Inference is contributing significantly to our data center demand, as AI is now in full production for deep learning, recommenders, chatbots, copilots, and text-to-image generation. And this is just the beginning. NVIDIA AI offers the best inference performance and versatility, and thus the lower power and cost of ownership. We are also driving a fast cost reduction curve. With the release of NVIDIA TensorRT LLM, we now achieve more than 2x the inference performance or half the cost of inferencing LLMs on NVIDIA GPUs. We also announced the latest member of the Hopper family, the H200, which will be the first GPU to offer HBM3E, faster, larger memory to further accelerate generative AI and LLMs. It boosts inference speed up to another 2x compared to H100 GPUs for running LLMs like Llama 2. Combined TensorRT LLM and H200 increased performance or reduced cost by 4x in just 1 year, without customers changing their stack. This is a benefit of CUDA and our architecture compatibility. Compared to the A100, H200 delivers an 18x performance increase for inferencing models like GPT-3, allowing customers to move to larger models and with no increase in latency. Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and Oracle Cloud will be among the first CSPs to offer H200-based instances starting next year. At last week's in Microsoft Ignite, we deepened and expanded our collaboration with Microsoft across the entire stack. We introduced an AI Foundry service for the development and tuning of custom generative AI enterprise applications running on Azure. Customers can bring their domain knowledge and proprietary data, and we help them build their AI models using our AI expertise and software stack in our DGX Cloud, all with enterprise-grade security and support. SAP and Amdocs are the first customers of the Nvidia AI Foundry service on Microsoft Azure. In addition, Microsoft will launch new confidential computing instances based on the H100. The H100 remains the top performing and most versatile platform for AI training, and by a wide margin, as shown in the latest MLPerf industry benchmark results. Our Training Plus store included more than 10,000 H100 GPUs, or 3x more than in June, reflecting very efficient scaling. Efficient scaling is a key requirement in generative AI because LLMs are growing by an order of magnitude every year. Microsoft Azure achieved similar results on a nearly identical cluster, demonstrating the efficiency of Nvidia AI in public cloud deployments. Networking now exceeds a $10 billion annualized revenue run rate. Strong growth was driven by exceptional demand for InfiniBand, which grew fivefold year on year. InfiniBand is critical to gaining the scale and performance needed for training LLMs. Microsoft made this very point last week, highlighting that Azure uses over 29,000 miles of InfiniBand cabling, enough to circle the globe. We are expanding NVIDIA networking into the Ethernet space. Our new Spectrum X end-to-end Ethernet offering with technologies purpose-built for AI will be available in Q1 next year, with support from leading OEMs including Dell, HPE, and Lenovo. Spectrum X can achieve 1.6x higher networking performance for AI communication compared to traditional Ethernet offerings. Let me also provide an update on our software and services offerings, where we are starting to see excellent adoption. We are on track to exit the year at an annualized revenue run rate of $1 billion for our recurring software, support, and services offerings. We see two primary opportunities for growth over the intermediate term, with our DGX Cloud service and with our NVIDIA AI Enterprise software. Each reflects the growth of enterprise AI training and enterprise AI inference, respectively. Our latest DGX Cloud customer announcement was this morning as part of an AI research collaboration with Genentech. The biotechnology pioneer also plans to use our BioNeMo LLM framework to help accelerate and optimize their AI drug discovery platform. We now have enterprise AI partnerships with Adobe, Dropbox, Getty, SAP, ServiceNow, Snowflake, and others to come. Okay, moving to gaming. Gaming revenue of $2.86 billion was up 15% sequentially and up more than 80% year-on-year. With strong demand in the important back-to-school shopping season, with Nvidia RTX ray tracing and AI technologies now available at price points as low as $299. We enter the holidays with the best ever lineup for gamers and creators. Gaming has doubled relative to pre-COVID levels, even against the backdrop of lackluster PC market performance. This reflects the significant value we've brought to the gaming ecosystem with innovations like RTX and DLSS. The number of games and applications supporting these technologies has exploded in that period, driving upgrades and attracting new buyers. The RTX ecosystem continues to grow. There are now over 475 RTX-enabled games and applications. Generative AI is quickly emerging as the new killer app for high-performance PCs. Nvidia RTX GPUs define the most performant AI PCs and workstations. We just released TensorRT LLM for Windows, which speeds on-device LLM inference up by 4x. With an installed base of over 100 million, Nvidia RTX is the natural platform for AI application developers. Finally, our GeForce Now cloud gaming service continues to build momentum. Its library of PC games surpassed 1,700 titles, including the launches of Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, and Starfield. Moving to ProViz. Revenue of $416 million was up 10% sequentially and up 108% year-on-year. Nvidia RTX is the workstation platform of choice for professional design, engineering, and simulation use cases, and AI is emerging as a powerful demand driver. Early applications include inference for AI imaging in healthcare and edge AI in smart spaces and the public sector. We launched a new line of desktop workstations based on Nvidia RTX Ada Lovelace generation GPUs and ConnectX Smart NICs, offering up to 2x the AI processing, ray tracing, and graphics performance of the previous generations. These powerful new workstations are optimized for AI workloads, such as fine-tuning AI models, training smaller models, and running inference locally. We continue to make progress on Omniverse, our software platform for designing, building, and operating 3D virtual worlds. Mercedes-Benz is using Omniverse-powered digital twins to plan, design, build, and operate its manufacturing and assembly facilities, helping it increase efficiency and reduce defects. Foxconn is also incorporating Omniverse into its manufacturing process, including end-to-end simulation for the entire robotics and automation pipeline, saving time and cost. We announced 2 new Omniverse cloud services for automotive digitalization available on Microsoft Azure, a virtual factory simulation engine and autonomous vehicle simulation engine. Moving to automotive. Revenue was $261 million, up 3% sequentially and up 4% year-on-year, primarily driven by continued growth in self-driving platforms based on NVIDIA DRIVE Orin SoC and the ramp of AI cockpit solutions with global OEM customers. We extended our automotive partnership with Foxconn to include NVIDIA DRIVE Thor, our next-generation automotive SoC. Foxconn has become the ODM for EVs. Our partnership provides Foxconn with a standard AV sensor and computing platform for their customers to easily build a state-of-the-art, safe and secure software-defined car. Now we're going to move to the rest of the P&L. GAAP gross margin expanded to 74% and non-GAAP gross margin to 75%, driven by higher data center sales and lower net inventory reserves, including a 1 percentage point benefit from the release of previously reserved inventory related to the Ampere GPU architecture products. Sequentially, GAAP operating expenses were up 12%, and non-GAAP operating expenses were up 10%, primarily reflecting increased compensation and benefits. Let me turn to the fourth quarter of fiscal 2024. Total revenue is expected to be $20 billion, plus or minus 2%. We expect strong sequential growth to be driven by data center, with continued strong demand for both compute and networking. Gaming will likely decline sequentially, as it is now more aligned with notebook seasonality. GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be 74.5 and 75.5 respectively, plus or minus 50 basis points. GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses are expected to be approximately $3.17 billion and $2.2 billion respectively. GAAP and non-GAAP other income and expenses are expected to be an income of approximately $200 million, excluding gains and losses from non-affiliated investments. GAAP and non-GAAP tax rates are expected to be 15%, plus or minus 1%, excluding any discrete items. Further financial information are included in the CFO commentary and other information available on our IR website. In closing, let me highlight some upcoming events for the financial community. We will attend the UBS Global Technology Conference in Scottsdale, Arizona on November 28th, the Wells Fargo QMT Summit in Rancho Palos Verdes, California on November 29th, the Areta Virtual Techs Conference on December 7th, and the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference in San Francisco on January 8th. Our earnings call to discuss the results of our fourth quarter and fiscal 2024 is scheduled for Wednesday, February 21st. We will now open the call for questions. Operator, will you please poll for questions?
At this time, I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, please press star and the number one on your telephone keypad. We'll pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster. As a reminder, please limit yourself to one question. Your first question comes from the line of Vivek Arya of Bank of America. Your line is open.
Thanks for taking my question. Just Colette wanted to clarify what China contributions are you expecting in Q4? And then Jensen, the main question is for you. Where do you think we are in the adoption curve in terms of your shipments into the generative AI market? Because when I just look at the trajectory of your data center is growth, it will be close to nearly 30% of all the spending in data center next year. So what metrics are you keeping an eye on to inform you that you can continue to grow? Just where are we in the adoption curve of your products into the generative AI market? Thank you.
So first, let me start with your question, Vivek, on export controls and the impact that we are seeing in our Q4 outlook and guidance that we provided. We had seen historically over the last several quarters that China and some of the other impacted destinations to be about 20 to 25% of our data center revenue. We are expecting in our guidance for that to decrease substantially as we move into Q4. The export controls will have a negative effect on our China business, and we do not have good visibility into the magnitude of that impact even over the long term. We are, though, working to expand our data center product portfolio to possibly offer new regulation compliant solutions that do not require a license. These products, they may become available in the next coming months. However, we don't expect their contribution to be material or meaningful as a percentage of the revenue in Q4.
Generative AI is the largest TAM expansion of software and hardware that we've seen in several decades. At the core of it what's really exciting is that what was largely a retrieval-based computing approach, almost everything that you do is retrieved off of storage somewhere, has been augmented now, added with a generative method, and it's changed almost everything. You could see that text to text, text to image, text to video, text to 3D, text to protein, text to chemicals. These were things that were processed and typed in by humans in the past, and these are now generative approaches. The way that we access data is changed. It used to be based on explicit queries. It is now based on natural language queries, intention queries, semantic queries. And so we're excited about the work that we're doing with SAP and Dropbox and many others that you're going to hear about. And one of the areas that is really impactful is the software industry, which is about $1 trillion or so, has been building tools that are manually used over the last couple of decades. And now there's a whole new segment of software called copilots and assistants. Instead of manually used, these tools will have copilots to help you use it. And so instead of licensing software, we will continue to do that, of course, but we will also hire copilots and assistants to help us use the software. We'll connect all of these copilots and assistants into teams of AIs, which is going to be the modern version of software, modern version of enterprise business software. And so the transformation of software and the way that software is done is driving the hardware underneath. And you could see that it's transforming hardware in two ways. One is something that's largely independent of generative AI. There's two trends. One is related to accelerated computing. General purpose computing is too wasteful of energy and cost. And now that we have much better approaches called accelerated computing, you could save an order of magnitude of energy, you could save an order of magnitude of time, or you could save an order of magnitude of cost by using acceleration. And so accelerated computing is transitioning, if you will, general purpose computing into this new approach. And that's been augmented by a new class of data centers. This is the traditional data centers that you were just talking about, where we represent about a third of that. But there's a new class of data centers, and this new class of data centers is unlike the data centers of the past, where you have a lot of applications running used by a great many people that are different tenants that are using the same infrastructure, and that data center stores a lot of files. These new data centers are very few applications, if not one application, used by basically one tenant. And it processes data, it trains models, and it generates tokens, it generates AI. And we call these new data centers AI factories. We're seeing AI factories being built out everywhere, in just about every country. And so if you look at the way where we are in the expansion, the transition into this new computing approach, the first wave you saw with large language model startups, generative AI startups, and consumer internet companies. And we're in the process of ramping that. Meanwhile, while that's being ramped, you see that we're starting to partner with enterprise software companies who would like to build chatbots and copilots and assistants to augment the tools that they have on their platforms. You're seeing GPU specialized CSPs cropping up all over the world, and they're dedicated to doing really one thing, which is processing AI. You're seeing sovereign AI infrastructures, countries that now recognize that they have to utilize their own data, keep their own culture, process that data, and develop their own AI. You see that in India, about a year ago in Sweden. You're seeing it in Japan. Last week, a big announcement in France. But the number of sovereign AI clouds that are being built is really quite significant. And my guess is that almost every major region will have, and surely every major country will have their own AI clouds. And so I think you're seeing just new developments as the generative AI wave propagates through every industry, every company, every region, and so we're at the beginning of this inflection, this computing transition.
Your next question comes from the line of Aaron Rakers of Wells Fargo. Your line is open.
Yeah, thanks for taking the question. I wanted to ask about kind of the networking side of the business. You know, given the growth rates that you've now cited, I think it's 155% year over year and strong growth sequentially. It looks like that business is like almost approaching a $2.5 to $3 billion quarterly level. I'm curious of how you see Ethernet evolving, and maybe how you would characterize your differentiation of Spectrum X relative to the traditional Ethernet stack as we start to think about that becoming part of the networking narrative above and maybe beyond just InfiniBand as we look into next year. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Our networking business is already at a $10 billion plus run rate, and it's going to get much larger. And as you mentioned, we added a new networking platform to our networking business recently. The vast majority of the dedicated large-scale AI factories standardize on InfiniBand. And the reason for that is not only because of its data rate, and not only just the latency, but the way that it moves traffic around the network is really important. The way that you process AI and a multi-tenant hyperscale Ethernet environment, the traffic pattern is just radically different. And with InfiniBand and with software-defined networks, we could do congestion control, adaptive routing, performance isolation and noise isolation, not to mention, of course, the data rate and the low latency and the very low overhead of InfiniBand. That's natural part of InfiniBand. And so InfiniBand is not so much just a network, it's also a computing fabric. We put a lot of software-defined capabilities into the fabric, including computation. We'll do floating point calculations and computation right on the switch and right in the fabric itself. And so that's the reason why that difference in Ethernet versus InfiniBand, or InfiniBand versus Ethernet for AI factories, is so dramatic. And the difference is profound. And the reason for that is because you've just invested in a $2 billion infrastructure for AI factories. A 20, 25, 30% difference in overall effectiveness, especially as you scale up, is measured in hundreds of millions of dollars of value. And if you were renting that infrastructure over the course of 4 or 5 years, it really, really adds up. And so InfiniBand's value proposition is undeniable for AI factories. However, as we move AI into enterprise, this is enterprise computing, where we'd like to enable every company to be able to build their own custom AIs. We're building custom AIs in our company based on our proprietary data, our proprietary type of skills. For example, recently we spoke about one of the models that we're creating. It's called Chip Nemo. We're building many others. There'll be tens, hundreds of custom AI models that we create inside our company. And our company is, for all of our employee use, doesn't have to be as high performance as the AI factories we use to train the models. And so we would like the AI to be able to run in an Ethernet environment. And so what we've done is we invented this new platform that extends Ethernet, doesn't replace Ethernet, it's 100% compliant with Ethernet. And it's optimized for east-west traffic, which is where the computing fabric is. It adds to Ethernet with an end-to-end solution with Bluefield, as well as our Spectrum switch that allows us to perform some of the capabilities that we have in InfiniBand, not all, but some. And we achieve excellent results. And the way we go to market is we go to market with our large enterprise partners who already offer our computing solution. And so HP, Dell, and Lenovo has the Nvidia AI stack, the Nvidia AI enterprise software stack, and now they integrate with Bluefield as well as bundle, take to market their Spectrum switch, and they'll be able to offer enterprise customers all over the world with their vast sales force and vast network of resellers, and in a fully integrated, if you will, fully optimized at least end-to-end AI solution. And so that's basically it. Bringing AI to Ethernet for the world's enterprise.
Thank you. Your next question comes from the line of Joe Moore of Morgan Stanley. Your line is open.
Great, thank you. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about Grace Hopper and how you see the ability to leverage kind of the microprocessor, how you see that as a TAM expander, and what applications do you see using Grace Hopper versus more traditional H100 applications?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Grace Hopper is in production, in high volume production now. We're expecting next year, just with all of the design wins that we have in high performance computing and AI infrastructures, we are on a very, very fast ramp with our first data center CPU to a multi-billion-dollar product line. This is going to be a very large product line for us. The capability of Grace Hopper is really quite spectacular. It has the ability to create computing nodes that simultaneously has very fast memory as well as very large memory. In the areas of vector databases or semantic search, what is called RAG, retrieval augmented generation, so that you could have a generative AI model be able to refer to proprietary data or factual data before it generates a response. That data is quite large, and you could also have applications or generative models where the context length is very high. You basically stored an entire book into its system memory before you ask it questions, and so the context length can be quite large. This way, the generative models has the ability to still be able to naturally interact with you on one hand. On the other hand, be able to refer to factual data, proprietary data, or domain-specific data, your data, and be contextually relevant and reduce hallucination. And so that particular use case, for example, is really quite fantastic for Grace Hopper. It also serves the customers that really care to have a different CPU than x86. Maybe it's European supercomputing centers or European companies who would like to build up their own ARM ecosystem and like to build up a full stack, or CSPs that have decided that they would like to pivot to ARM because their own custom CPUs are based on ARM. There are a variety of different reasons that drives the success of Grace Hopper, but we're off to just an extraordinary start. This is a home run product.
Your next question comes from the line of Tim Arcuri of UBS. Your line is open.
Hi, thanks. I wanted to ask a little bit about the visibility that you have on revenue. I know there's a few moving parts. I guess on one hand, the purchase commitments went up a lot again, but on the other hand, the China bans would arguably pull in when you can fill the demand beyond China. So I know we're not even into 2024 yet, and it doesn't sound like, Jensen, you think that next year would be a peak in your data center revenue. But I just wanted to sort of explicitly ask you that. Do you think that data center can grow even into 2025? Thanks.
Absolutely believe that data center can grow through 2025, and there are of course several reasons for that. We are expanding our supply quite significantly. We have already one of the broadest and largest and most capable supply chain in the world. remember, people think that the GPU is a chip, but the HGX H100, the Hopper HGX, has 35,000 parts. It weighs 70 pounds. 8 of the chips are Hopper. The other 35,000 are not. It has even its passive components are incredible. High voltage parts, high frequency parts, high current parts. It is a supercomputer, and therefore the only way to test a supercomputer is with another supercomputer. Even the manufacturing of it is complicated, the testing of it is complicated, the shipping of it is complicated, and installation is complicated. And so every aspect of our HGX supply chain is complicated, and the remarkable team that we have here has really scaled out that supply chain incredibly. Not to mention, all of our HGXs are connected with Nvidia networking, and the networking, the transceivers, the NICs, the cables, the switches, the amount of complexity there is just incredible. And so I'm just, first of all, I'm just super proud of the team for scaling up this incredible supply chain. We are absolutely world class. But meanwhile, we're adding new customers and new products. So we have new supply, we have new customers, as I was mentioning earlier. Different regions are standing up GPU specialist clouds, sovereign AI clouds coming up from all over the world as people realize that they can't afford to export their country's knowledge, their country's culture for somebody else to then resell AI back to them. They have the skills, and surely with us, in combination, we can help them do that, build up their national AI. And so the first thing that they have to do is create their AI cloud, national AI cloud. You're also seeing us now growing into enterprise. The enterprise market has two paths. One path, or if I could say three paths. The first path, of course, is just off-the-shelf AI. And there are, of course, ChatGPT is a fabulous off-the-shelf AI. There'll be others. There's also proprietary AI, because these software companies like ServiceNow and SAP, and there are many, many others, can't afford to have their company's intelligence be outsourced to somebody else. And they are about building tools, and on top of their tools, they should build custom and proprietary and domain-specific co-pilots and assistants that they can then rent to their customer base. They're sitting on a gold mine. Almost every major tools company in the world is sitting on a gold mine, and they recognize that they have to go build their own custom AIs. We have a new service called an AI Foundry, where we leverage Nvidia's capabilities to be able to serve them in that. And then the next one is enterprises building their own custom AIs, their own custom chatbots, their own custom RAGs. And this capability is spreading all over the world. And the way that we're going to serve that marketplace is with the entire stacks of systems, which includes our compute, our networking, and our switches, running our software stack called Nvidia AI Enterprise, taking it through our market partners, HP, Dell, and Lenovo, so on and so forth. And so we're seeing the waves of generative AI starting from the startups and CSPs, moving to consumer internet companies, moving to enterprise software platforms, moving to enterprise companies, and ultimately one of the areas that you guys have seen us spend a lot of energy on has to do with industrial generative AI. This is where Nvidia AI and Nvidia Omniverse comes together, and that is a really, really exciting work. And so I think we're at the beginning of a basically across the board industrial transition to generative AI, to accelerated computing. This is going to affect every company, every industry, every country.
Your next question comes to the line of Toshiya Hari of Goldman Sachs. Your line is open.
Hi, thank you. I wanted to clarify something with Colette real quick, and then I had a question for Jensen as well. Colette, you mentioned that you'll be introducing regulation-compliant products over the next, couple of months, yet the contribution to Q4 revenue should be relatively limited. Is that a timing issue, and could it be a source of reacceleration and growth for data center in April and beyond, or are the price points such that the contribution to revenue going forward should be relatively limited? And then the question for Jensen, the AI Foundry service announcement from last week, I just wanted to ask about that and hopefully have you expand on it. How is the monetization model going to work? Is it primarily, services and software revenue? How should we think about the long-term opportunity set? And is this going to be exclusive to Microsoft, or do you have plans to expand to other partners as well? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Toshiya, on the question regarding potentially new products that we could provide to our China customers. It's a significant process to both design and develop these new products. As we discussed, we're going to make sure that we are in full discussions with the U.S. government of our intent in these products as well. Given our state about where we are in the quarter, we're already several weeks into the quarter. That's just going to take some time for us to go through and discussing with our customers their needs and desires of these new products that we have. Moving forward, whether that's medium term or long term, it's just hard to say. Both the ideas of what we can produce with the U.S. government and what the interest of our China customers is. So we stay still focused on finding that right balance for our China customers, but it's hard to say at this time.
Toshiya, thanks for the question. There is a glaring opportunity in the world for AI Foundry, and it makes so much sense. First, every company has its core intelligence. It makes up our company. Our data, our domain expertise. In the case of many companies, we create tools. And most of the software companies in the world are tool platforms. And those tools are used by people today. And in the future, it's going to be used by people augmented with a whole bunch of AIs that we hire. And these AI platforms just got to go across the world, and you'll see. And we've already announced a few: SAP, ServiceNow, Dropbox, Getty. Many others are coming. And the reason for that is because they have their own proprietary AI. They want their own proprietary AI. They can't afford to outsource their intelligence and hand out their data and hand out their flywheel for other companies to build the AI for them. And so they come to us. We have several things that are really essential in a foundry. Just as TSMC is a foundry, you have to have AI technology. And as you know, we have just an incredible depth of AI capability, AI technology capability. And then second, you have to have the best practice, known practice, the skills of processing data through the invention of AI models to create AIs that are guardrailed, fine-tuned, so on and so forth, that are safe, so on and so forth. And the third thing is you need factories, and that's what DGX Cloud is. Our AI models are called AI foundations. Our process, if you will, our CAD system for creating AIs are called NeMo, and they run on Nvidia's factories we call DGX Cloud. Our monetization model is that with each one of our partners, they rent a sandbox on DGX Cloud where we work together. They bring their data, they bring their domain expertise, we bring our researchers and engineers, we help them build their custom AI. We help them make that custom AI incredible. Then that custom AI becomes theirs. And they deploy it on a runtime that is enterprise grade, enterprise optimized, or performance optimized. runs across everything NVIDIA. We have a giant installed base in the cloud, on-prem, anywhere. It's secure, securely patched, constantly patched, and optimized and supported. And we call that NVIDIA AI Enterprise. NVIDIA AI Enterprise is $4,500 per GPU per year. That's our business model. Our business model is basically a license. Our customers then, with that basic license, can build their monetization model on top of. In a lot of ways, we're wholesale. They become retail. They could have a subscription license base. They could per instance, or they could do per usage. There's a lot of different ways that they could create their own business model. But ours is basically like a software license, like an operating system. And so our business model is help you create your custom models. You run those custom models on NVIDIA AI Enterprise. And it's off to a great start. NVIDIA AI Enterprise is going to be a very large business for us.
Your next question comes from the line of Stacy Rasgon of Bernstein Research. Your line is open.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my questions. Colette, I wanted to know, if it weren't for the China restrictions, would the Q4 guide have been higher, or are you supply constrained in just reshipping stuff that would have gone to China elsewhere? And I guess along those lines, if you could give us a feeling for where your lead times are right now in data center, and does the China redirection such as this, is it lowering those lead times because you've got parts that are sort of immediately available to ship?
Yeah, Stacy, let me see if I can help you understand. Yes, there are still situations where we are working on both improving our supply each and every quarter. We've done a really solid job of ramping every quarter, which has defined our revenue. But with the absence of China for our outlook for Q4, sure, there could have been some things that we are not supply constrained that we could have sold to China, but we no longer can. So could our guidance have been a little higher in our Q4? Yes. We are still working on improving our supply and plan on continuing growing all throughout next year as well to work with that.
Your next question comes from the line of Matt Ramsey of TD Cowen. Your line is open.
Thank you very much. Congrats, everybody, on the results. Jensen, I had a two-part question for you, and it comes off of sort of one premise. And the premise is I still get a lot of questions from investors thinking about AI training as being NVIDIA's dominant domain, and that somehow as inference, even large model inference, takes more and more of the TAM, that the market will become more competitive, you'll be less differentiated, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess the two parts of the question are number one, maybe you could spend a little bit of time talking about the evolution of the inference workload as we move to LLMs and how your company is positioned for that rather than smaller model inference. And second, up until a month or two ago, I never really got any questions at all about the data processing piece of the AI workload. So the pieces of manipulating the data before training, between training and inference, after inference. And I think that's a large part of the workload now. Maybe you could talk about how CUDA is enabling acceleration of those pieces of the workload. Thanks.
Sure. Inference is complicated. It's actually incredibly complicated. We this quarter announced one of the most exciting new engines optimizing compilers called TensorRT LLM. The reception has been incredible. You go to GitHub, it's been downloaded a ton, a whole lot of stars integrated into stacks and frameworks all over the world, almost instantaneously. And there are several reasons for that, obviously. We could create TensorRT LLM because CUDA is programmable. If CUDA and our GPUs were not so programmable, it would really be hard for us to improve software stacks at the pace that we do. TensorRT LLM on the same GPU, without anybody touching anything, improves the performance by a factor of 2. And then on top of that, of course, the pace of our innovation is so high, H200 increases it by another factor of 2. And so our inference performance, another way of saying inference cost, just reduced by a factor of 4 within about a year's time. And so that's really, really hard to keep up with. Now, the reason why everybody likes our inference engine is because our install base. And we've been dedicated to our install base for 20 years, 20 plus years. We have an install base that is not only large, it's in every single cloud, it's in every, available from every enterprise system maker. It's, used by companies of just about every industry. And anytime you see an Nvidia GPU, it runs our stack. It's architecturally compatible, something we've been dedicated to for a very long time. We're very disciplined about it. We make it our, if you will, architecture compatibility is job one. And that has conveyed to the world the certainty of our platform stability. NVIDIA's platform stability certainty is the reason why everybody builds on us first, and the reason why everybody optimizes on us first. All of the engineering and all the work that you do, all the invention of technologies that you build on top of NVIDIA accrues to and benefits everybody that uses our GPUs. And we have such a large install base, large millions and millions of GPUs in the cloud, 100 million GPUs from people's PCs, just about every workstation in the world, and they're all architecturally compatible. And so if you're an inference platform and you are deploying an inference application, you are basically an application provider, and as a software application provider, you're looking for a large install base. Data processing. Before you could train a model, you have to curate the data. You have to dedupe the data. Maybe you have to augment the data with synthetic data. You have to process the data, clean the data, align the data, normalize the data. All of that data is measured not in bytes and megabytes. It's measured in terabytes and petabytes. And the amount of data processing that you do before data engineering, before that you do training is quite significant. It could represent 30, 40, 50% of the amount of work that you ultimately do in ultimately creating a data-driven machine learning service. And so data processing is just a massive part. We accelerate Spark, we accelerate Python. One of the coolest things that we just did is called cuDF Pandas. Without one line of code, Pandas, which is the single most successful data science framework in the world, Pandas now is accelerated by NVIDIA CUDA, and just out of the box, without a line of code, and so the acceleration is really quite terrific, and people are just incredibly excited about it. Pandas was designed for one purpose only, really data processing. It's for data science, and so NVIDIA CUDA gives you all of that.
Your final question comes from the line of Harlan Sur of JP Morgan. Your line is open.
Good afternoon. Thanks for taking my question. If you look at the history of the tech industry, right, those companies that have been successful have always been focused on ecosystem, silicon, hardware, software, strong partnerships, and just as importantly, right, an aggressive cadence of new products, more segmentation over time. The team recently announced a more aggressive new product cadence in data center from 2 years to now every year with higher levels of segmentation, training, optimization, inferencing, CPU, GPU, DPU networking. How do we think about your R&D OpEx growth outlook to support a more aggressive and expanding forward roadmap? But more importantly, what is the team doing to manage and drive execution through all of this complexity?
Gosh, boy, that's just really excellent. You just wrote NVIDIA's business plan, and you described our strategy. First of all, there is a fundamental reason why we accelerate our execution. And the reason for that is because it fundamentally drives down cost. When the combination of TensorRT LLM and H200 reduced the cost for our customers for large model inference by a factor of 4. And so that includes, of course, our speeds and feeds, but mostly it's because of our software. Mostly the software benefits because of the architecture. And so we want to accelerate our roadmap for that reason. The second reason is to expand the reach of generative AI. The world's number of data center configurations. This is kind of the amazing thing. NVIDIA is in every cloud, but not one cloud is the same. NVIDIA is working with every single cloud service provider, and not one of their networking control plane security posture is the same. Everybody's platform is different, and yet we're integrated into all of their stacks, all of their data centers, and we work incredibly well with all of them. And not to mention, we then take the whole thing and we create AI factories that are standalone. We take our platform, we can put them into supercomputers, we can put them into enterprise. Bringing AI to enterprise is something, generative AI to enterprise, something nobody's ever done before. And we're right now in the process of going to market with all of that. And so the complexity includes, of course, all of the technologies and segments and the pace. It includes the fact that we are architecturally compatible across every single one of those. It includes all of the domain-specific libraries that we create. The reason why every computer company, without thinking, can integrate NVIDIA into their roadmap and take it to market. And the reason for that is because there's market demand for it. There's market demand in healthcare. There's market demand in manufacturing. There's market demand, and of course, in AI, in financial services, and supercomputing, and quantum computing. The list of markets and segments that we have domain-specific libraries is incredibly broad. And then finally, we have an end-to-end solution for data centers. InfiniBand networking, Ethernet networking, x86, ARM, just about every permutation combination of solutions, technology solutions, and software stacks provided. And that translates to having the largest number of ecosystem software developers, the largest ecosystem of system makers, the largest and broadest distribution partnership network, and ultimately the greatest reach. And that takes a lot of energy. But the thing that really holds it together, and this is a great decision that we made decades ago, which is everything is architecturally compatible. When we develop a domain-specific language that runs on one GPU, it runs on every GPU. When we optimize TensorRT for the cloud, we optimized it for enterprise. When we do something that brings in a new feature, a new library, a new feature, or a new developer, they instantly get the benefit of all of our reach. And so that discipline, that architecture compatible discipline that has lasted, more than a couple of decades now, is one of the reasons why NVIDIA is still really, really efficient. I mean, we're 28,000 people large and serving just about every single company, every single industry, every single market around the world.
Thank you. I will now turn the call back over to Jensen Huang for closing remarks.
Our strong growth reflects the broad industry platform transition from general purpose to accelerated computing and generative AI. Large language model startups, consumer internet companies, and global cloud service providers are the first movers. The next waves are starting to build. Nations and regional CSPs are building AI clouds to serve local demand. Enterprise software companies like Adobe and Dropbox, SAP, and ServiceNow are adding AI copilots and assistants to their platforms. And enterprises in the world's largest industries are creating custom AIs to automate and boost productivity. The generative AI era is in full steam and has created the need for a new type of data center, an AI factory, optimized for refining data and training and inference and generating AI. AI factory workloads are different and incremental to legacy data center workloads supporting IT tasks. AI factories run copilots and AI assistants, which are significant software TAM expansion and are driving significant new investment, expanding the $1 trillion traditional data center infrastructure install base and powering the AI industrial revolution. NVIDIA H100 HGX with InfiniBand and the NVIDIA AI software stack define an AI factory today. As we expand our supply chain to meet the world's demand, we are also building new growth drivers for the next wave of AI. We highlighted 3 elements to our new growth strategy that are hitting their stride: CPU, networking, and software and services. Grace is NVIDIA's first data center CPU. Grace and Grace Hopper are in full production and ramping into a new multi-billion-dollar product line next year. Irrespective of the CPU choice, we can help customers build an AI factory. NVIDIA networking now exceeds a $10 billion annualized revenue run rate. InfiniBand grew 5-fold year over year and is positioned for excellent growth ahead as the networking of AI factories. Enterprises are also racing to adopt AI, and Ethernet is the standard networking. This week, we announced an Ethernet for AI platform for enterprises. NVIDIA Spectrum-X is an end-to-end solution of BlueField SuperNIC, Spectrum-4 Ethernet switch, and software that boosts Ethernet performance by up to 1.6x for AI workloads. Dell, HPE, and Lenovo have joined us to bring a full generative AI solution of NVIDIA AI computing, networking, and software to the world's enterprises. NVIDIA Software and Services is on track to exit the year at an annualized run rate of $1 billion. Enterprise software platforms like ServiceNow and SAP need to build and operate proprietary AI. Enterprises need to build and deploy custom AI copilots. We have the AI technology, expertise, and scale to help customers build custom models with their proprietary data on NVIDIA DGX Cloud and deploy the AI applications on enterprise-grade NVIDIA AI Enterprise. NVIDIA is essentially an AI foundry. NVIDIA's GPUs, CPUs, networking, AI foundry services, and NVIDIA AI Enterprise software are all growth engines in full throttle. Thanks for joining us today. We look forward to updating you on our progress next quarter.
This concludes today's conference call. You may now.
All right, guy, man, that thing lagged at the end. Man, that thing just kept on going here. Again, let me know what you guys think of NVIDIA. Honestly, if you read the chat, you're going to think NVIDIA is either just crashing down, fire and brimstone. Everybody's like, aha, see, I told you. It's like, bro, are y'all looking at the same chart as I am? It's completely flat. It hasn't done anything this entire earnings call. It's up 25% over the last 2 weeks. And so it's not just going to go straight up. That's not a reasonable expectation for it. My point is, there's just so much ego that floats around in markets. Generally people make big predictions and they're so desperate to morph what happens to their prediction that they just kind of end up again, the people who are the most critical about the other direction are usually the most wrong. And that goes for both sides, like bears and bulls. If you're making fun of bears the whole time, you're probably insecure about your own position. If you're making fun of bulls the whole time, you're probably insecure about your own predictions. And so again, be smart. Look at it with a grain of salt. NVIDIA chart is incredibly sideways, not anything crazy. Again, let me know what you guys think about it. The market's pushing up. Again, we're going to be back tomorrow bright and early for jobless claims numbers. Jobless claims numbers drop tomorrow. It's kind of unemployment filings is what jobless claims are. And so that'll be very relevant for the market. We're going to stream that. And then if I don't see you, have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody in the U.S. Y'all be safe. Again, if you want to check out our sponsors, these are sponsors of mine, so I'm certainly biased. But check out TopStep. If you want to day trade in avoid the PDT rule. Try out futures. In the futures market, you day trade the NASDAQ. Looks very similar to Nvidia right now. If you look at the NASDAQ here on the right side, again, if you put up the 1 minute chart, looks very similar to Nvidia, like basically the same chart right here. You could day trade this right side in futures, no PDT rule, buy market, sell market, all that good stuff, no PDT rule. Top Step's the most legit funded futures program in the world. They give you a demo, they test your skill. Just taking the challenge, in my opinion, builds your skill. And if you're good enough to pass it, they fund you between 50 to 150K with a 90% split. If you're not good enough to pass it, you're probably going to lose less than you would putting up the money up yourself. They're the most legit futures funded program in the world. They've been around for over 10 years. They pay out millions in actual withdrawals every year. Great way to learn trading with less risk. Most day traders lose in the beginning, so it's a great way to learn with less risk. But again, I am biased in their favor. Of course, they are a sponsor of mine. Check them out. Here's the link for that. You can also check out Chart Prime. And I've been looking at Chart Prime. This is the regular market oracle right here. The regular market oracle. This is a 1 hour chart. So again, these candlesticks represent days of price action. Check out the buy and sell signals on the regular market oracle Pro on a 1 hour chart. Look at this sell signal, worked. Buy signal, worked. Sell signal, worked. Strong buy signal, definitely worked. Sell signal here, you might be able to say that one was wrong. Buy signal here, worked. Sell signal here, worked. And again, just to show you guys, since y'all can't see some of it, let me get this out the way. Again, this one worked as well. 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 Again, pretty powerful, pretty powerful. That's a 1 hour chart. I can also pivot over to this one, which is a 5 minute chart. Buy signal work, sell signal work, buy signal work. Again, you can test this yourself. They also show you like flag patterns. Look at that flag pattern. You can trade the breaks, trade the tops, trade the bottom of that. There's just so much stuff that they offer. I can look up smart money concepts. I can pull up their screener, which is new. And if you buy the lifetime membership, you get free access to their back tester, which I'm still playing with, as well as their screener, which allows me to test these different strategies, see where the biggest edge is at any given point in time. The screener also shows me what symbols, and I can input different symbols into the screener here, like crypto. These work a lot with crypto. A lot of people use these with crypto. A lot of other cool stuff. Again, I'll put both of these links up in the description if you want to help support your boy here. Check it out. I'll put this link up as well. Great way to help support the channel. Again, I can't guarantee any results at anything. These are both sponsors of mine. I'm definitely biased, but check them out. Y'all be safe. Again, we'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning. Y'all be safe in the market, guys. Again, stay like I just see emotion in chat. You know, I just see emotion. Again, generally people who are the most arrogant about short-term predictions are usually the most wrong. So just remember that, guys. Y'all be safe. Be good. I'll see you guys later.